All right, we are in public session. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Dowery, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on tonight's agenda is the non-public and public meeting minutes of September 21, 2023 and September 28, 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions? Thank you. It's 5-0. Excuse me.
I'd make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session, of the first non-public session for today's meeting, as is determined it might adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of this board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rob. That is discussable?
Did I say indefinitely? Indefinitely, if I didn't say it, should.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. Thank you. Police Department taser contract.
Consent agenda.
Sorry, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda for 10/5/23. Number 1, accounts payable manifest dated 9/8/23. 2, accounts payable manifest dated 10/3/23. 3, disabled exemption removal in 2024 for map lot numbers 217-016 as it no longer qualifies. 4, 5-year review approval, a veterans tax credit for map lot number 224-030 in the amount of $500. Number 5, distribution of funds from the Recreation Patriotic Special Events Fund in the amount of $850. And number 6, the appointment of William Dowie as Lakes Region Planning Commission Commissioner for a 4-year term from 12/1/23 to 12/1/27.
11/21.
That's 11/21. What did I say?
12.
What?
Yeah, you better get that right, otherwise I can't go that.
Okay. You gotta read it all over from the top.
Appointment of William Dowie as Lakes Region Planning Commission Commissioner, say that 5 times fast, for a 4-year term from 11/21/23 to 11/21/27.
I'd second that.
Okay.
Thanks, Les.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any item needing discussion or removal? No. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that is 5-0. Now the police department taser contract. So we spoke about this previously.
We did speak about it when the budgets were presented to you. It does save money over the long run. It is a contract that we can get out of if we do not fund it for 1 year. But it is a 5-year contract. A copy of it is in your folders under number 4. And we just need a motion to approve it, and you have TA sign
And
it.
so for public transparency, because we talked about this in a work session, this is a new contract for the replacement of our current taser program, which we've been under contract for the last 5 years.
I think we've been under for the last 5 years. If we don't contract, it's gonna cost a lot more money.
Right,
yearly.
and if we sign this year, we save somewhere in the order of,
I think it was $10,000 that he mentioned.
8 or 10,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay?
That includes cameras as well. Body
Cameras,
cameras as well.
storage.
Yeah.
You could always just buy 10 GoPros and SD cards.
I'll make a motion to accept the taser proposed contract with Axon Enterprise Inc. and to authorize the TA to sign off on it. And the total cost is $54,901.92.
Over a 5-year period.
over a 5-year period.
Well, over a 5-year period.
Yeah, seconded by Les. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, that is 5-0. We have some personnel policy updates.
So this is only one part, this is part of the original presentation that we gave the board, Ingrid and I, about leave, and there was discussion about changing the leave time. So there's two things in here. One is a breakdown of what the current leave time is, sick, vacation, personal, tells you how, it made it a little easier because it bulleted it out.
Yeah.
And then, what was proposed, and so Ingrid, you want to come up and, Ingrid, and the second document, so these are under number 5, so the second document was, section 9, paid time off. This is where the actual,
Print new ones.
there it goes, sorry, it disappeared. Where the actual changes were. So, I will add that the documents you were sent yesterday, there has been a change since then. We had a personal policy meeting today that brought up a point, and so, but I will turn it over to Ingrid just so she can explain what we changed.
A lot of red.
So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of red because earned time is a whole new section.
Okay, gotcha.
Don't be alarmed.
Wow.
Just it stood out. It stood out more than the blue would have. So we had all the conversation last time, and there was, I'm gonna use words, some confusion on how we were able to use earned time, vacation time versus personal time. Hence the breakdown sheet that kind of bulleted it out a bit.
And I can for everyone, but never handed out.
She's printed but hasn't handed out. My Vanna White is failing me.
Just that one.
So we, after our previous meeting, we went back to the drawing table and worked on essentially a plan to merge, vacation time and personal time into what we called earned time. Using Rob's terminology from that evening. This is good, now I can look at the right one. So the proposal would be essentially leaving sick time completely exactly how it was. We didn't change anything in sick time. Because there really was no need to change any of that. The earned time, which is what we went with calling it, if anyone's got another name, please speak up. Stick to earning it on January 1st for current employees, same with part-time employees, but at their prorated rate. New hires would earn a prorated amount on their start date, but would not be allowed to use that leave time for the first 90 days. They can use sick time, but not that earned leave time, which would help in preventing having to pay out that earned time should somebody not make 90 days.
Oh,
So in an effort to protect the town a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit of a,
It is in the current policy, so
Yeah.
that 90 days is already there, so we
Yeah.
agreed to leave it.
yeah, with the vacation leave, not with the personal leave. So as it currently stands, you can use your personal leave straight away, but your vacation you won't get until 90 days. You're earning it, but you're not receiving it and can't use it. An ergo would not be paid it out if you left within the first 90 days.
I can go back to the other document
I
here.
gotta start checking numbers and bullets off here. There we go. So the 90 days was more in it. Again, we've been trying to balance best interest of the town, best interest of the employees, working from both angles. There was conversation, one of the changes we made this morning was the conversation on when you were able to put in for leave time, because, with vacation time, it was 2 weeks notice. With personal time, it was also technically 2 weeks notice, but some department heads were allowing you, like, if I wanted to take a personal day tomorrow, I could do it, but it was a little, so we went with,
For personal time, you didn't require notice.
and you weren't, but some were.
Yeah.
Some department heads were. So again, it was that ambiguity and trying to clean it up a bit. So we went with you being able to use a leave request slip at the discretion of the department head, and we put the specific wording in here. Do you want to highlight it?
It's right under the
right
crossed
there.
out section. I can
So-
make it bigger.
So rather than putting in for earned time, the use of earned time 2 weeks early, approvals for earned time off requests would be at the discretion of the department head. A department head shall approve time off requests to ensure that the remaining workforce at all times will be adequate to cope with the expected workload. So, you know, I need an emotional support day on Monday. Okay, it's a holiday, so Tuesday. Yeah, it's not within 2 weeks, but as long as it isn't distracting to the workload of the department, it can be approved by the department head. It also allowed a little leeway with, you know, the fire department, the police department, who have more scheduling issues rather than this building's employees. If they have an internal SOP that says you need to put in a leave request the month before in order for it to be covered by mandatory, otherwise, you know, you're finding your own coverage, it allowed that leeway in there as well, which was why we suggested that. Obviously, merging vacation and personal into earned time would change numbers. So currently, as it stands, you can roll over a maximum of 240 vacation hours, but you can't roll over anything for personal time. So we basically just join them together, can roll over up to 280 hours maximum, which is 35 days, which would be the maximum accrual for somebody who's been here the longest.
Current maximums are 30 days, so we only, even with merging the personal leave in, we only added 5 days to the maximums, so.
In maximum in terms of payout.
Which would also
So
be-
it would affect payout, it would affect what they carry over every year, so it would be an additional 5 days potentially for payout. It does, and there are there are 2 different maximums. Any shift firefighter, their maximums are slightly different. That's in the bulleted list. So it does increase theirs as well, but we calculated it based on the 5 days. So we took five days at 8 hours, which gave you the 280 for everybody else. And for the shift firefighters, they earn 12-hour accruals.
It's not slightly different, it's 50%
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, which is how it currently stands. You know, their hours are based on 12 hours
The
versus
existing,
8.
I mean, the
Oh,
existing.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So it is existing, they get 12-hour accruals because only shift firefighters.
Yeah.
So shift firefighters are those that work the 24-hour shift.
Yeah.
Because they're working a 52-hour average work week rather than a 40.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
48.
48-hour average.
48 hours, yeah.
Yep.
Does this, I couldn't find it earlier, does this say how soon before you have to submit your slip? Up to the day before, if you want.
You
At
could do it up to the day
discretion of
before at the discretion of the department
Okay.
head. That was one of the changes
Yep.
that we made just because of how people would be able to use it.
Currently, it's 2 weeks.
No,
2
yeah.
weeks for vacation and personal time is, you could
Yeah,
just call.
that's
but-
long,
Yeah.
that's really long.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Again, because they're not earning, the last bullet point on that section, you know, they're not earning the leave time, the earned time until 90 days of employment. It wouldn't be paid out until 90 days of employment, whether it's a resignation or termination. Yeah, so we're avoiding that, that big payout for somebody who starts and 6 weeks later, this is not working out. Or, you know, hey, I found another job, I'm leaving.
Okay.
So we threw that in there too.
And with regard to the maximums, I mean, this is strictly up to the board. We increased everything by 6 days because the personal time was going to be 6 days is what we proposed and you agreed, or sort of, you hadn't approved it yet. And so every number got increased by 6 days. And then we thought that there was a lot of discussion in the group. Not everyone felt that the maximum should increase. But then we came to a happy medium, and we did it by 1 week, which is 5 days, so. But that's strictly up to the board,
Yeah.
whether you agree with the maximum, because it does increase the exposure
Yeah.
when someone leaves, a little bit, so.
essentially looking for some feedback.
It's awful quiet here.
So we took the information
There's a lot of
that
crickets.
Ross gave us, and the group talked about combining it into one category. We took the personal time and combined the vacation time into one, and updated the numbers accordingly. There was one change.
So, bullet point number 1 previously would have been 10 days, is now 16 days because it's the 10 days of vacation, 6 days of personal bound in together being earned time. And so it was just, that was
So to be clear for the listeners, this is not an increase in amount of days off.
correct.
Just
That are
one
given to
day.
people.
Just the 1 day that we had previously talked about to replace bonus time.
Yes.
But otherwise, it is not an increase.
Yeah.
It's the same, it just puts it into one
Yeah.
category.
Does it make it easier to administer?
I would think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
And it also helps with other sections of the policy from, as conversations that we still need to go through.
Yeah.
The hours worked, etc. The list could go on.
there's
Sections we haven't even got to yet.
two of the biggest things to point out with this is it does give, part-time didn't get personal leave, they will now. In this program, the part-time people will get a little bit more, but on a prorated basis.
Yeah.
So, unless we choose to change that.
They'll get earned time.
Yeah, they
It'll
get
be
earned
earned
time,
time,
which
yeah.
could help attract those part-time employees that
Yeah.
it's been harder to attract because they have, other towns aren't necessarily giving part-time employees earned time. It's if you come in, you get paid. If you don't come in, you don't get paid. So that can help with those positions that we've been trying to fill and still need to fill in areas within the town.
So,
I think that was pretty much the nuts and bolts of it.
is it what you expected? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's,
So really, the only, and I'll only use it, I don't mean it pejoratively, the only negative in combining all this and making this change is long-term exposure on the what
Your
was
accrued wage.
the accrued wages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that could be reduced by reducing that maximum.
You could just so you could consider leaving the maximum 30. Right now, the maximum's 30. It was a negotiation in the group.
I'm curious why any of the people in the group would not want that increased.
It's about balancing the best interests of the town versus the employees.
I will tell you that my vote had been not to increase it, but I could understand why, and that's why I thought that was a good negotiation. Because I did feel it's hard enough to carry it for us to get people to use their time, and carrying over more time.
Yeah.
That was one thing, also increase the accrued wage liability potentially, so but I could see the other argument, so I was swayed.
But on the other hand, how do we keep people? There needs to be something out there that's worth staying for.
Yep.
Right.
how was the reception of this from everybody else?
The few people that I've talked to about it, we haven't gone publicly with it because we're still in those developing stages. But it's positive. I think it's a positive effect. One of the things that was said to me in regards to it is, well, at least with personal time, you're kind of forcing us to take that personal time in a year, otherwise we lose it. Whereas if it's all bumped together, you're not forcing us to take time, which has its pros and its cons, obviously. So that's where I can see, from my perspective on the committee, reducing those maximums, which says you're gonna take some time and take that break and come back rejuvenated and fresh and ready to tackle the next major project that we have going on.
Well, so if you looked at the survey too, it talks about more paid time off. We should get some incentive because we lost bonus. We're addressing some of those in this
issues.
policy as well. They wanted paid out of any earned or accrued time, but we're allowing them to carry over a little bit more, and we're allowing the personal time to be, that normally they couldn't carry over, they would have lost it,
Right.
to now be thrown into this group, so.
Okay.
And before we started trying to do a merger, there was a lot of feedback of, well, let's just roll over to personal time, or if we don't use our personal time, then let's get it paid out. Vacation time, if we hit the maximum rather than forcing us to take time off, which in some departments forces an overtime situation, which is more expensive, just pay us out that. This kind of sort of makes a happy medium.
Yeah, I think so.
And looking at other towns have sick time and they have a leave time. They have PTO, personal time off, or paid time off. They don't have the sick, vacation, personal. They don't have it broken down into multiple categories because it's treated as leave time, which I can't believe I'm going to say it, but Rob was right.
Happens every now and then.
God, once in a blue moon.
Yeah, so I share your concern with the exposure
Right.
long term. I've been in a situation where my first municipal job, it was all earned time. There was no sick time. It was all earned time. We roll it all over, and I left with 3.5 years on the job and got paid out $500.
Yeah.
And I took time off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely need to be careful with that.
And you do get those people who don't take time off.
Well, and there's a fine line of encouraging people to take time off because people need time off.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why when I look at this, I look at this as this is your time. So if it's Tuesday and you're like, man, I just need, you had a shift like I had yesterday.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Yeah.
If you have 3 or 4 of those in a row, you can go to, the department head and be like, hey, I need my shift off.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Man, there's no 2-week, minimum for that.
All right.
And obviously, not to force you to make a decision, but a decision on this will help shape other sections within the policy as well.
Yep. This is our first time seeing the final, but it's not our first time talking about the whole process, obviously. Folks feel comfortable adopting this?
You wouldn't have to adopt, you could just say you verbally support it, you won't adopt this until it's all done.
Till it's all done.
Yeah, well, and we're getting closer, we've gone through every section now.
One section.
And we're just the last section is going to be
very
there.
I,
And it is now publicly available.
Yes.
but before we
I'm
adopt it, I'd like to hear some employee feedback.
Okay.
Is that something?
I mean, we're not, like I said, we're not adopting until the final vote. I think the consensus of the board is we are moving in this direction. We think this is a good balance. We want to recognize the work that the committee has done, which has been a lot of work, and we appreciate that. And I have no, there's nothing on here that I would draw a line in the sand on. I think in this day and age, you have to offer everything that you can stomach to.
Yeah, and that's where we're trying to balance too. It's best interest of the town, best interest of the employees, but it's keeping employees, it's getting employees, and it's being that attractive municipality that can compete with the Guilford's $30 an hour for a police officer with the sign-on bonus of whatever crazy number they've come out with this week.
Yeah, don't get me started on police. Story for later. Yeah, okay. I think the consensus is that we're happy with the work that you've done. We like this result.
Okay.
We're moving in this direction, but we would like some other feedback
Can work on that.
if anyone is comfortable doing that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. At the end of the day, speaking as a town employee, it was one of the general, scuttlebutt complaints with what is the current policy that was adopted last year.
Right.
was the employees did not have an
An
opportunity to
input.
provide feedback
Yep.
and input
Yep.
in
And
it.
that's why we did
And
the
that's
survey.
one of the reasons, yeah, we started this whole process with those 2 surveys so that we could get some information from people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Some broader feedback from outside of
Yeah.
the committee would be good.
perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're good with the way it kind of works, I mean, obviously numbers can be changed.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the structure is good. I do like the, you know, it's made it, I don't know, I like that it's making it simpler to figure things out, to administer it. That's a big plus in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it was done in a manner where people hashed it out. And
we have some pretty healthy debates.
yeah, I'm sure. And I know we can't make everyone happy,
No.
but this is going a long way to making that a smoother policy.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And if the whole manual is adopted, you know, at the end of this year to start January 1st, the current personal leave will not roll over into those accrued because we're still acting under they have to be used by December 31st.
Okay.
So that, you know, that's not a rollover issue as far
Yeah.
as those hours
Yeah.
that are sitting in that
Okay.
proverbial bank.
All right. Very good.
Nice
Cool.
job.
The only other issue that came out of the first sections that you looked at was the wording of non-essential and essential.
What? Yeah. I don't even know why we have to.
So,
We
we
tweaked
did talk about it today, and we looked at other towns, they use it, but they use it in various ways. So we came up with, and we don't have that to show you right now, but we wanted to run it by you, we came up with non-essential services and non-emergency employees. Because you're not calling the employees non-essential, but we want to run that by you.
Yeah.
It sounded better, and almost all the policies do it differently.
Yeah, that's wild.
A lot of them have non-essential employees, but non-essential services, non-emergency employees, so.
I like that verbiage, non-emergency, better than non-essential.
Okay, so we were combining the two, would you prefer us just to say non-emergency? Well, the only thing is, I would say, the reason we combine the two is because there are some services that are not essential. However, a highway might be essential, might not be emergency, but they might have to be out,
Highway is emergency.
right?
Yeah.
So we could just
So
leave it
water and sewer.
And
non-emergency.
yeah, the theory was also, you know, you got the health officer who, under your ordinary circumstances of conditions for closure, a weather situation, the health officer is not necessarily an essential employee, an emergent employee. But there are times that
But
that
he-
health officer is, you know, we're now in a pandemic or a flood situation or a fire situation.
Yeah.
That health officer now becomes,
Yeah.
yes, you are an
Makes
essential
sense.
employee today.
So, FEMA has outlined their essential functions, and I don't know if we follow that, if we don't follow that, if there could be difficulty in getting reimbursement for emergency
Well, that's a good point, Carol.
efforts. So if you can look under FEMA essential functions, that will give you, I used to recall that there was 12 or 13, but I haven't quickly found it.
See, the one thing we talked about today with that was that normally your department head is an essential function, but
Right.
if I close this building because of snow, I don't need my department head here.
Right.
Technically, I'm not gonna want you to come in if it's snowing,
Yeah.
but,
So there's a definition here, it says essential functions are those that enable an organization to provide vital services, exercise civil authority, maintain safety and well-being of the populace, and sustain the industrial and economic base during an emergency.
see, we wanted to put essential functions in as a definition, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
So we
And they have much more specifics on that, I just
Okay.
haven't found it right this minute. but-
We'll have a gander for it. Yeah, because we talked about non-essential functions,
Oh,
essential
yes.
function employees. Yeah, it was another roundabout debate.
And so you could also look under the 15 emergency support functions under FEMA.
Okay.
That gives you the 15 areas that they think need to be staffed up during an emergency. Firefighting, communications, public works, transportation, resources, public health, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, cool. Great.
Okay, that gives us some direction on that.
No, that's perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you kindly.
All right, thank you.
Did you want to talk about next week with them for the next part, or okay? Get through the night first.
I just like to surprise them.
One more thing. One more thing.
Yeah.
She likes.
Oh wait, I forgot.
Oh, wait.
Let's just remember, I said bring it up tonight. That was
It's
all on
usually,
her.
oh wait, I forgot.
All right, I believe we have Deb and Rayma to discuss the beach closeout and job descriptions.
Oh, under number 6, we put the beach ordinance you adopted in June.
Yep.
That's under number 6. It's not the signed one, but I wanted to make sure I got you that for the meeting. And then also the 2 job descriptions. So I figured you wanted to be closed out first.
Yep. So we talked briefly, but the floor is yours.
Like I said, we were able to maintain the beaches safely, and with the staff we had. I was a little disappointed that we were only able to hire 2 full-time, 1 part-time, and myself filling in, but it was doable with the weather that we had. Had a lot of support from the highway department this year.
Yeah.
And really appreciated everything they did to support us there. But looking to hire a full staff next year, if we can. So we're prepared if the weather is typically wonderful like it is in New Hampshire.
Okay. Any glaring, anything's particularly highlighted this last
Yes.
summer?
Yes.
Yeah.
The issue we had this summer had a lot to do with dogs on our beach. And we had people calling in complaining, why can't they bring their dog to the beach? They see other people have their dogs on the beach. Why are we not enforcing that? Those types of things. I talked to Chris Bean about it. How could we work on this together? It's nothing that we can really enforce except give them a warning, call the police if it becomes a real issue. One of my attendants out at Cummings Beach had 2 dogs charged at him.
Yes.
When he asked the owner to get the dogs out of the water, off the beach, and the owner was able to get the dogs under control. They were unleashed before they actually reached him, but it was a bit of a scare for him. Another one of my attendants at Avery Beach towards the end of the summer had an unleashed dog on the beach who actually knocked her down and bit her. However, did not break the skin, but we do have a picture of where it did rip her shirt. And again, and Mr. Brown was at the beach at this time, knew that she was shaken up, and it became a little bit of an unsafe condition for some of our attendants at the end of the summer. We still don't have an answer or a solution to this problem. We don't allow dogs on our beach. I know that they bring their dogs there in the evening when we're not there. I know they're there first thing in the morning. We clean up their messes even though we have bags down there for them to use, which is also a contradiction. Some people feel, why do you have these bags down here when you don't allow dogs on the beach? So that was a lot of time this summer dealing with people at the beach with their dogs, angry that they couldn't have their dogs at the beach, and people seeing that people didn't obey that, and why can't they bring their dogs to the beach? Another issue that I'm asking you to look at is in your ordinance under beach rules. About the 6th bullet down, it talks about no boats of any kind are allowed within the swim lines on the beach or secured to any object on the shore behind the swim lines However, non-motorized access lanes have been designated at both beaches. What the issue we've had with this is, it says this does not restrict soft inflatable toys. What people are doing is they are getting inflatable paddle boards, inflatable kayaks, and then using those inside the swim lanes. And they're inflatable. And our ordinance says they're inflatable,
But they're not toys.
and they often inflate them on the beach.
Yeah.
And what do you do? So I have a recommendation, if we could change that and, keep all the language there, and even say this does not restrict soft inflatable toys, but does restrict inflatable paddle boards or kayaks.
Do you think that that's necessary?
I do,
People always use those in the beaches and,
but not inside our
Not in the
swim
swim
lines.
line.
no, I understand.
So when people are swimming, there are people who are paddleboarding and kayaking within our swim lines.
Okay.
Or change the ordinance, because we're trying
You
to
can't
enforce no kayaks, no paddleboards, no motorized boats in the swim lines, but these are inflatable.
But there are
So-
inflatable boats that are like 20 feet, I have one, I haven't inflated, 20 feet long. And that takes up a huge amount of space and fits like 12 people on it, so it could get out of hand, yeah. I think it makes sense.
The
to
paddle
restrict.
boards also, they also had inflatable, they're like windsurf things.
Yeah,
They take up quite a bit of
Yeah.
space. They had 3 of them on the beach one time when we went over there, so.
It's just another safety issue for anybody who's in the water.
Yeah.
And we're trying to say, please get out on the lake, please get beyond the swim lines,
Yeah.
but it's inflatable.
Okay.
So, it's like, well, okay.
Okay.
It was kind of a gray area for us.
Is there a rule, or we're allowing those big floating mats that are pretty?
They have been on the beaches as well.
No,
And
yeah, I've
Avery,
seen them, but I mean,
yeah,
they're pretty popular nowadays,
Yeah.
but they're huge.
yes.
what is it?
It's an inflatable dock.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or you don't even have to inflate them, you just roll it out.
right. they're
Right.
just-
Those
Those
are
right,
mats.
there's a couple different
Oh,
kinds,
mats.
yes.
Yeah, there's the
And
mats
then
and then
they
there's.
put them, they weight them down so
Yeah.
that they don't move, the kids run across them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's not
I don't want to.
physically being driven around to bump into
Right.
somebody.
No,
Right. But I also don't want it
Impeding.
kind of taking up space on the beach either on a busy, it should be rolled up or whatever.
It's usually in the water, Sean, they
Yeah,
usually leave them
okay.
there in the
Yeah.
water.
Okay.
There's gotta be some kind of verbiage you can put in there to, non-propelled inflatables.
well, they're not all propelled.
No, you just call it, like she said, like Deb suggested.
Well, a kayak or a canoe is propelled.
Right.
Only if you choose to use an oar with it.
Yeah.
Your windsurfers are, and, it's,
I suppose what's the harm of an inflatable paddleboard if somebody's not paddling it?
It's
That's
just
right.
a rafter, yeah.
Right.
The thing with those big pads though, you could lose sight of a kid under there easily.
Oh.
It is a safety issue.
But we are not,
Right.
Put a size restriction on
we're not,
Lifeguarding.
we're not lifeguarding it is swimming.
them.
we
Inflatables
can
under
leave
4
it
feet
just
in
the way
diameter.
it
so
is,
it's
but
fine.
it has been an issue,
Yeah,
and we've allowed it.
yeah.
So I want you to know that.
Well,
too.
I think it's clear, like if someone is in if it's the same size, a blow up, I've been in those blow up kayaks in a remote pond and it's fun, but not inside a swim line.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
if you're paddling around in anything, it should be outside the swim line.
But that's our feeling, but it's not,
Inflatables under 4 feet in diameter within the swim line, problem solved.
If they're a rectangle.
Yeah, but then you have the big
Or
double
kayak
tubes.
shapes.
Right, but
You
they're
have
still
double
within 4
tube.
feet in diameter.
Not if you have a double tube, like a river tube. It's more than 4 feet.
All right, under 5 feet in diameter.
I would be specific and call it a inflatable, like inflatable kayak and inflatable paddle.
Right, because someone will challenge you saying, well, this is a toy, and you'll say, no, it's a kayak, but it's a toy.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
if the wording, for these kids that are doing this on the beach,
Yeah.
our
Or adults.
employees, the clearer the better for them.
What you're saying doesn't solve the problem of somebody bringing in an 8x8 inflatable anchored it in the middle of the water for the kids to play on all day.
And
But is that as much of a problem as the
Paddles.
paddle boards and the?
We have some swimmers at different times of day that actually swim our swim lines at both beaches.
Yeah.
Right.
And we want them, they're usually, about my age,
Yeah.
so they're senior. And we want them to be safe.
Well, and they shouldn't be obstructed either.
Right.
Right.
So there's a safety issue, but then there's a fair use issue.
Right.
If you're saying, I've got this mat that's whatever size it is, and I'm gonna take this spot up all day in the water, is that fair?
Or
we had
64 square feet, I mean, it's only,
Or we had both where we used specific for kayaks, inflatable kayaks and inflatable paddleboards. And then any flotation device can't be larger than this size.
What do you think, Deb?
We can also, let's be honest, we can deal
We can
with,
do this up till we're going to.
yeah, we can deal with the inflatable paddle boards, we can deal with the inflatable kayaks. We can allow our people to have some judgment on if it's a busy weekend and someone's got one of these
Yeah, we
big.
could ask them, and some people will say yes, we'll take it out, and other people will say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you can go for every
Yeah.
thing, but you are seeing a clear issue with the inflatable paddleboards, with inflatable kayaks, so,
Inflatable boat, just say inflatable boats.
yeah. Boats, kayaks.
I would do all three.
Yeah. If a kid is out there with one of those little inflatable boats with
We're
a,
talking
Right.
with a
about
little
huge
row,
rafts.
then I don't have an issue with that, but,
That's a good point, though.
yeah.
That would fall under what you just said.
Unless he has paddles.
until they had another kid with the oar.
Right.
I think I've been here with one of those.
Alright.
So we'll prepare that warrant change. Do you have something else though that you wanted to?
I do
change
not.
Okay.
I know Raymond did.
Yes, I have a few things about the beach.
On the rules, we have no nudity at any age, because parents have changed their kids at the beach forever.
Yeah, we always say that, but,
We don't
You
want,
say it, but that doesn't mean you have to enforce it.
Okay,
We just tell them to pick up their diaper.
don't squash it, never mind.
Don't bury it in the
don't
sand,
bury
please.
it, yeah.
We're taking the samples tomorrow.
Guess we won't take it there. Alright,
Beach stickers. We have a person in Bristol that owns 7 pieces of property.
Oh, jeez.
And she was very upset last year because she felt she should get 2 stickers for each piece of property. And I said no, it's 2 per family and doesn't go with what the property is. We also have people that don't own anything but a boat slip,
Mhm.
and they want beach stickers. And then we have Blueberry Shores, who has one of the most beautiful beaches on the lake, and they want beach stickers. Davidson's Campground wants beach stickers. And then when we said we'll just, do the trusts, the names on the trust, they come in and they say, well, that's not right because my grandchildren are going to be. And I said, well, that's not the point. It's who is on the trust right
Yeah.
now, whoever is on the trust. And they argue with you about it should be their children, their grandchildren, their nieces, their nephews, and then the brothers and sisters that are in the trust, then there needs to be their grandchildren and their nieces and nephews, and there was a lot of that going on.
A household being your residence.
And that's what I try to tell them. It's, you have your residence and it's in a trust. And whoever's listed on that trust, and we did have them come in with a trust so we could see the names. And then we said each one of these people can get a sticker.
Mhm.
And I already think that's too much. So,
It is a lot, and we,
You mean,
The weather wasn't
too
that-
much restriction?
many people are allowed to have it.
Okay,
I know, I
I
didn't
just
know
wanna be
if you
clear.
got it from there.
Yeah,
Is a trustee a property owner or a taxpayer? Or will they be
they're
in the
tax,
future?
Yes.
they're taxpayers because it's a
responsible.
trust.
Yeah.
It depends on how the trust is set up, you know.
But if it's two,
So-
haven't we limited it to two
If
per
you-
household?
We do, except there was something put in a while back about the trust. That it was just 2 per household, but then the people that had the trust said, you know,
It's a
well,
family trust and.
it's a
yeah,
family
it's owned
trust
by
and
the
all of
family,
these
yeah.
people are on it. So then we were saying, well, these people can each get a sticker. So then the owner comes in and said, well, that's not right. I should be able to get, my daughter comes up and she's,
let her use your car.
yeah, you know, and my daughter comes up and she needs it for 2 weeks, and my son comes up and he needs it for 2 weeks. Then the other trustee comes in and he has 3 children and they need it each one for a different week, and it's just, even though the weather was bad, it was a constant argument this year.
But that doesn't sound bad, what you just said.
I have a
That
Then each one of them-
Usage-wise, that doesn't sound bad, if they're not all coming in the same. If somebody's coming for 2 weeks, somebody else is coming for 2 weeks. The point is, are we overloading the beach? That's the point.
Yes, and that's, I think,
So
what
if all
happens.
30
They-
of them came at once,
And they can,
they can't, technically they can't.
do that, because we're not
Well, I
saying
gotta-
what weeks.
I like to remind people that anybody can use the beach, they just have to find another place to park.
Right.
And that's what I tell people, and you know,
Yeah.
people come in, I came up for the day to go swimming at the lake, I'm sorry you don't own property here, I can't tell you. Well, what do you want me to do? I need to know what you want me to do, and I say,
Why don't you
go to
go to
Wellington.
Wellington?
Well, I've been to Wellington, and Wellington's closed because there's too many people there, so now what do you want me to do?
Go home.
neighbor. I have a solution.
Yeah.
So I think this might, for your trust problem. Rather than have affixed stickers, have a sticker that could be mounted on a mirror or placed on a dashboard, that those residents, Johnny and Susie are coming up for these 2 weeks, and then their cousins are coming up for the next 2 weeks. They get 2 a year, and that's it, and they stay at,
And it would, you'd have to be on the,
And we did talk about that one year, and I wish I could remember why it wasn't gonna fly, but we did talk about that
We
one
did
year.
do placards once for, was it the transfer station, we tried the placards, but we didn't have the ones hanging in the mirror, they had the cardboard ones, they had to set on the dash.
yeah.
That was for guests.
Transfer station.
Well,
But
we
that
do
would
that
solve a
for,
lot
we
of
do,
problems.
It would.
and actually to another end, that, like, the issue I've always had with the limiting it to 2, that solves my problem.
Yeah,
That was well done, did you catch that?
I know, I,
That was nice.
Well, I just thought,
oh, now we know why you offered it.
no, that's not why I
So
said
the
it.
the only problem with that is, in your case, in the trust case, they would be the only one that had that.
Right.
So if they had that, it wouldn't matter what the registration on the vehicle
Right.
was, right?
Right.
For the
And
regular
how does that-
person,
You'd have to put the.
it
Right, so then I could
That
take
way.
2, I could give them to my cousin from Massachusetts coming up the week and say, here, guys, here's the beach.
right, which, as long as you're not using it.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe limit it to
that?
one fixed
Alright.
and one
So you have
portable.
to change that.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
could, you could
Right,
list
well, what do you
all
think
the
of that?
license plates on them.
Hmm?
If it
I
was
think
limited to.
well, you know, the way the permit is here, it's all
Not with the,
trust.
it'd be harder with the trust.
It would,
You could do that something if you had 3 vehicles.
right.
Yeah.
It says, of all trustees must be provided at the time of purchase. The parking fee for each license plate added to the permit is $10.
So you're gonna lose some revenue.
You're gonna lose revenue, and then,
Why don't you just
And-
say for trust properties, you know,
Maybe it's
the
more
yearly,
money. I
the
think
yearly
we should
thing is
just-
$100 and they can use anybody who's associated with the trust.
And they get 2 passes.
Well, like, I would have no problem if, like, saying I was allowed to have a fixed and a portable, Maybe the portable's $20 instead of $10.
But I think what you've gotta remember is that the reason they have the license plates on there is so that you know they are
Yeah.
from in Bristol. They're not just from, you know,
They're not buying
Franklin,
a
or like
sticker.
that one coming up from Merrimack this summer and, you know, yelling at me because they couldn't go to the beach, and that happened a lot this summer. We got yelled at a lot
Right,
because,
but they'd have to get it from a resident that's not using it.
But that's gonna happen.
That's gonna
Right.
happen.
But it won't put any more people at the beach.
Right, it doesn't, right, it's not increasing the crowding at the beach.
Then it'll just lessen your revenues, so that.
It doesn't have to. I think you could bump, if they want the flexibility to be able to have a pass that is transferable, then that pass is gonna be more expensive.
Make it
Right.
$25, I'd pay it.
That's not.
A transferable trust.
Your,
But-
here's your guess, your guess is $50.
Make it $100 pass.
Yeah.
Then they can use.
because right now, if you have a
Certain amount of
guest,
time dwelling.
they pay $50 for the week.
Yeah,
Right, oh, so
They-
somebody coming in and renting.
They come in, if
Yeah,
you're renting
right.
your house to somebody, we have to get the paperwork from you saying when it's rented
Sure.
and what week, and then that person has to come in with that paper and their registration.
Yeah,
And then
$50
we
per week.
write up it's about this big, we write it up and we say how long they're staying,
Yeah.
and it's $50.
Is that happening with every Airbnb that's not on the water?
probably.
Yes.
Yeah, if they're staying at like,
Yeah, they have to.
you know, they have to come in showing they're staying there for
But
a
on a
week.
weekly basis, that renter is sending you paperwork?
They're supposed to, and if they don't have it, then the beach attendants see them, and I mean, we do have quite a few that come in every year, rent the same cottage every
Right.
year, and they all know it, and they just come in with their $50 and,
I think it's a, yeah, I think you can, you may go down a little bit on income, but it does solve that problem. You can bump that yearly fee up to, I don't know, 100, 150, whatever. If they're paying $50 every time someone else comes in, then in the long run, they're saving money.
Well, the trusts aren't now. They're getting as
Trusts
many.
are
It depends how many are
paying
listed.
No, that's the guess. The
That's-
trusts are getting
Right.
as many.
Well, that's what I'm
the
saying,
trust,
right.
again, the trusts are $10.
Right, so if you make that permit $100 for per trust, then some of them you're going to lose, some of them you're gonna gain. But it puts it all into one and it simplifies
And
things.
you're giving them 2 passes.
Right,
So it'd be $200 or $100?
$100 for 2 passes.
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
yeah.
$100 for 2 passes?
Yeah.
Well,
That
because
they can
One thing
change
you're winning
Per
on
resident,
your-
per
Yeah.
resident.
no, it's per trust.
Per resident,
Yeah.
per resident, oh,
Just
right,
for the
that's-
trust.
And then in your other households, you can either get 2 fixed for $10, or you can do 1 fixed and 1
This
portable
is
for
from
$10.25.
Someone this summer that wants you guys to see that. And that, what that is basically saying is that she really likes the beach the way it's been run this year, and hopes that no changes take place.
Like, not even to talk about me, like, take for instance Scott's family. Scott has 4 or will soon have 4 licensed drivers.
Yeah.
So at least he could have a pass that he could leave on the counter that if Cora's going to the beach, Cora grabs a pass and drives it on the beach. Or whatever.
Would there be a way to,
I
To-
wish
to
I
match
could
up-
remember, because we talked about
We did
these
talk about
placards
it.
one year, and we,
Was it after you just ordered beach stickers though, that we said, well, we have to look at it another year?
and that, it could have been less. I know we said we'd start looking at the beach in October and November instead of January and February.
would it be, so the trust thing is done.
But I have a
I'm
question
saying
about
if you
trust, even though it's kind of done.
Say again?
I just have a question about the trust. Why wouldn't we just say, these people on the trust get it?
All of them though, you're saying.
But you're-
No, I'm just saying the people on the trust.
But
Like,
you said
right now,
they were-
the people on the trust get it. So what you're saying now is they're gonna be, they can have 2. Is that correct?
That's transferable.
And we just put the name of the trust on it and no vehicle.
And an
Technically,
address,
they could give it to a guest that's not on the trust.
the property address,
And
and the
that-
trust name.
Color of that pass changes every year.
That's what we do with guests, we change that
And
every
this
year.
solves your problem of having 10 people on a trust that are all staying at the same
Right.
house, and they're all parking on the beach the same week and taking up 10 spots.
Well, and it also makes it a little more fair because you've got 10 people in a trust that can all use the beach, but yet you're only allowing two
Two.
people who are actually residents to use the,
Right.
to get permits.
Yeah.
It's worth a try. How's that? Are you two looking
And
like
the,
to support
so
this or not?
for the trust, it's
I'm
gonna
not getting the
be,
evil eye from Ray with this.
Okay, all right.
there's gonna be two and they're gonna be $50 each.
No.
No, the two for $100.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's $50 each.
Yeah.
No, no, because they can't say I just want one.
Yeah.
That it's
It's
$100 per trust.
They can't opt for the
So
$50
that limits
option
them.
and pass it around.
Two people can come to the beach, and they pay
I would
$100.
maybe give a little bit on that and say that if they have a vehicle register in Bristol, that they could, okay, go ahead.
I'll give you a fine example.
Alright.
There's a man that came in, he lives in Massachusetts. I said to him 3 to 4 times, this vehicle has to be housed in New Hampshire. His place is a summer place. He bought a brand new F-250
And left. Yeah.
and he's leaving it in New Hampshire while he takes another car and drives back to Mass.
Is it registered in Bristol?
Yes, because he kept saying to me, I live in Bristol. I live in Bristol. And I said, it has to be housed here. It can't go out
But
of
he
Bristol.
also, is car registered in Mass?
He probably has another car registered in
Yeah.
Mass because, but he stood there and just right at me, stared right at me and said, I live in Bristol.
Yeah,
But his address that I had to put in the computer was in Massachusetts. And his seasonal address was
But
Bristol.
we're gaining revenue from him registering his vehicle here.
But it's illegal.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a
You
definition of.
know that much better than I do, so.
There's a definition of what's your legal residence in every state.
Right.
And so
Right.
did you tell him, well, you did that illegally, so no pass for you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting to be.
The past Nazi?
Yeah.
No pass for you.
Yeah. I mean, these
Come
are
back
the things
next
that
year.
happen. I'm not saying everybody lies, but, you know,
No,
after a
that's for you.
while,
12
you get to
months.
know that.
So the potential downfall to this is somebody in the trust, they have 2 permits, they can give it to someone that's not on the trust that comes up to visit them for the day.
True, they can.
So that's okay, I'm just saying, that's
Yeah.
Make
okay.
sure to do that.
But they've paid.
Yeah.
All right, so I gotta get this down. Trusts, they're gonna be $50 each,
No,
$100.
That's $100, but
$100.
you get two, so you
Alright,
are.
so-
and they can get 2, so it's 200.
No,
So
no,
what
Just
if,
100, just 100.
so what if that trust is a rental?
it's $100
For two
the
transfer.
Right.
And they
So
can
now-
only get
so
two.
we're
You
losing-
are going
trust can only
to.
get
You
2.
are. That's a
They are
case
not
where
paying
you're not going to come out
They
whole.
have to.
We're
on that
gonna
year,
lose
but-
revenue, we're
but
gonna lose
in others,
revenue
we're gonna
on
get-
on a rental permit.
Right. We're going to gain it.
And there's nothing to say that a year from now, Rick can't come to us and
Said that
say,
didn't work.
we're down to 50% revenues, we
Yeah.
can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
we're gonna lose on the guest pass that.
Right,
You're saying we're gonna lose on the $50
maybe,
guest
Maybe.
pass if a trust is being
It
rented
could.
out.
No, 'cause they're not
for sure.
buying, they're probably not buying a guest pass.
probably
also
not, they're
think-
probably not even, right.
Yeah.
I also think
I say we try it for a year.
this is fine, what you're saying with the trust, but Susie Joe is gonna come up, and she's not gonna say she's part of the trust, and
Right.
she's gonna get a beach sticker, because she's gonna say, this is where I'm staying.
So
This
she
is
gets,
where-
so she gets to
$50 for a
use,
guest?
so she,
Doesn't she have to have a rental contract to
She
do
would
that?
have to.
She would have to, but if she said, I own this house,
She
then could we
actually-
try to look it up on taxes? But when you got 50 people standing in your lobby, you can't always stop and look at everything, or we'd be
If
here.
what do you mean? If she owns the house?
Yeah.
Well, if she comes up and says, I'm trying to
She
think of
needs
the
to
argument
provide
that I
proof
get.
of ownership.
She'll come up and she'll like, this is my aunt's house and I'm staying there this week. So then I say, well, then if that's happening, it's $50 a week.
Yeah.
You need to get something from your aunt. And then she's like, well, I'm on the trust.
Right,
Well,
that's
then
what
I can say now, well, there's
Use one of
2
the
stickers
passes.
out there
Right.
for the trust, so use that.
Use
Yeah.
one of
Yes.
those placards.
But,
Right.
so,
I'll write it down if there's something that happens weird.
Right.
so I still
Pay
don't,
another $50.
I still don't get this. You can be a trustee, or you can be somebody that's listed in the trust to inherit things later.
That's
Those
different.
are two different things,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
right?
You
right.
have to be,
Because I'm in the
you
trust,
have to
because
be a
I'm gonna inherit
trustee
something,
to
correct?
get
You're in,
this
so
passed.
that language needs to be in
Right.
the.
So basically, the trusts are gonna get 2,
Yes,
Yeah.
that anyone
Written
in their
ones that we
organization
will
can
write.
use.
we'll
Yeah.
write the name of the trust, the address.
Or not, that's what we're saying.
Right.
Well, I think we
Anybody
need
that comes to stay in that building that the trust owns.
Yeah,
They don't have to be a trustee.
They have 2 passes.
Right.
Yep.
If they're
Okay.
staying there, yeah, they
Could
could use
it-
one of the
Let's try
paths.
it.
Could
Let's
it
do
be
it.
abused?
Yes.
But
matter
there's
what
only
we do.
2 passes out
It's
there.
our
instead of
effort to
10.
address their concerns.
Yeah.
It's our effort to try to streamline the process. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to the drawing board. But I think
I
it's a
think
good
this is
idea.
worth trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Daly.
could I have a comment?
Yes, sir.
What happens when Susie Joe drives home and takes the pass with her?
Well,
That's on them.
Yeah.
She
Good point.
can, she can overnight
FedEx.
it. She
FedEx
can
next day.
overnight it.
Absolutely
Yeah.
gonna happen.
That's gotta happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't.
We're not gonna issue us another one and.
And we'll tell them that, you know, you have to keep this here. If you
Yeah.
take it home, nobody gets another second.
Right.
If that happens, you park up at the church parking lot and you walk.
So,
down.
alright, so
Right,
they're
because
gonna,
if you lose your handicap placard.
okay, right, so what happens if they lose their handicap plate, right? So maybe if they lose their beach pass, then they have to fill out an affidavit saying, I lost it, I destroyed it, I burnt it, it blew off the boat.
Yeah.
We don't reissue them usually.
Yeah, that's way better.
But that's a great point, you might have to in this case. That's
Someone's gonna come screaming at her saying,
Because how,
they're gonna have
They're
to fill out.
gonna be
an
numbered. So like you said, you fill
So
out
I
that.
would charge them another $50.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
But then they're filling out the affidavit saying it was legally destroyed or lost or stolen.
Right, and then
And they
get
pay
people have a list, they
$50.
carry a clipboard, they have a list of terminated numbers.
And then if we find 3 of them there at the same
Right,
time,
and then we
can
can
revoke
file-
all of them.
well,
Yes.
well, that's where you are down here, because you can do that, you have it.
Right,
Yeah.
but as long as they're numbered,
Yeah.
yeah. And Deb can kind of mark it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Deb, what's easy for your beach attendants to see? Placing on the dashboard or hanging in the mirror, what's?
It doesn't matter, because we look on the dashboard for our gas pass anyway,
Okay,
when we don't see a permit in the window.
okay,
So whatever Raymond decides to do.
okay.
Yeah, we'll probably do just, like we do for the guest pass. We can
Okay.
make- We can make trust.
Do you wanna
different
just,
color.
Ken,
another
so-
suggestion?
so do we wanna make potentially, do we wanna do something like that? Up one flex pass option for a resident?
For an additional $10.
Hey,
Maybe make it 25.
Oh, make it 25.
Like, do
50,
one-
I'll go 50.
Do one flex or they could do, have the option to do one flex placard in place of,
You gotta remember too,
no, okay.
I just wanna remind you, everybody, we're
Yeah.
really busy in the summer.
Yeah.
And to do these, to put, cause you can't have them all done.
Right.
So you've got, every time somebody comes in to do one, we gotta stop, write this up, enter it into the computer, and then, and like this summer, we were crazy. So I just want you to remember, anything we have to do that's different has to get written up. These pieces of paper that are a little bit bigger than this, we gotta say, okay, blue is a trust and green is a, but we gotta stop and write it up,
Well,
and
the
that does
Residents,
take
but the
time.
residents should be spaced out throughout the year as they register their vehicles.
Well,
Hopefully,
they don't.
but,
I mean, we start asking in January, every time somebody registers their
Yeah.
vehicle, do you
Yeah.
want a beach sticker? Do you want a beach and a dump? That's our.
can we do an application online?
We should
Is
be
that-
able to.
They can fill in the appropriate information and you verify it?
They can't do
Or they
dump
don't.
stickers online, so I don't know.
So, can we
We should be able.
talk about bringing back the
The
protocol
part-time
during
position.
COVID of having someone here to sell beach stickers. I know it's,
We
you have to pay somebody to do that.
Right,
couldn't
and
do
Right.
it, we had beach crew last, we
Right.
had we had
If we
people
have the
this year.
staff hired, when we had 7, we could do that. We
But
could
we did-
definitely do that.
Yeah,
Which we did
because that worked,
before.
that
Right.
worked
We
well,
had
right?
And that,
staff.
yes, that worked really well. So, I mean, last year, I'm not exaggerating, we had 40 to 50 people in our lobby all piled in complaining. Yeah, you know,
Now you're
it
gonna
takes a
want a
while to
bigger
do
lobby.
registrations and it takes a while to do taxes.
And we did it during June and July because taxes were due and you were really
Right.
busy.
So,
So let's talk about it when summer, I mean, I don't know.
Well, as long as we
Or
fill
have somebody
beach-
here selling the beach stickers. I
As
mean, it
long
worked
as
so
we
well
fill staff,
before.
Carol.
Or,
We
excuse
don't
me,
fill-
sorry.
As long as we fill staff, yes.
No, I get that, I
But-
get that.
This year, we said no to it because we didn't
They
have
didn't.
staff. We told Raymond, we can't help you.
Yeah.
There's
And-
nothing we can do.
And
And
now we have
hires-
that shared, right, the shared position, the third person in there now?
well, we may not. You
Well-
weren't here for that.
Wait,
No, I
you weren't
was,
here
but,
for the non-public,
Yes.
sorry.
yes, I
This
was,
is on
but,
TV.
Yeah,
We could always volunteer as select board members to come down and sell beach
Now,
passes.
there's a
There.
thought,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, let us do it, right?
We'll have to talk, we'll have.
I'll start looking for someone.
Yeah,
If we have 7, we, I don't.
I think the thing we
can
have
do
to
it. Yeah.
be careful about was that there were some that were setting out there that sold beach stickers to people that did not
Right.
live in Bristol.
Well, it's complicated.
It
It'll
is.
be more complicated now.
And it's, I mean, like Hill and Alexandria and Danbury, that's what I'm saying.
Right. But we could give them the software so that they could look up.
They don't even need software, the registration number's written on the sticker, it can be cross-referenced.
Right.
Well, it is,
If you employees, people who have registration from Massachusetts though.
Yeah, but people in Alexandria or Bridgewater, their
right.
legal address could be Bristol.
It
because
could, yeah.
that's-
Sometimes their legal address, it'll, like,
It's P.O. Box.
I fight with other people, Rob, because I had this happen quite often. People will call that live in Bridgewater, but
They have a Bristol address.
it's a, cottage, whatever is up in
It's the
Bridgewater,
same
and it
zip
says Bristol.
Yeah.
And they
Maybe turn.
wanna vote in Bristol, and they want to, they wanna know what their tax bill is. And you don't live in Bristol, you live in Bridgewater. No, I don't. I live in Bristol. My address is Bristol.
Yeah.
No,
It's
your
the zip code.
mailing address is Bristol, but your tax bill is actually
Your
Bridgewater.
house is not here.
When we first moved up here on Dick Brown Pond Road, on the other side, we had a Plymouth phone number and an
Yeah.
Ashland address.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
and living in
And
Bridgewater.
living in
Right,
Bridgewater.
and exactly.
So all that being said, do we wanna do that and then figure out how to sell them as summer approaches?
it's
Or
in
is
our
that a
job
bad
description.
policy?
It is in
Sell
the job
permits.
description already. I mean, we've done it for 2 years, but we couldn't do it this year. We
Right,
had no
right.
staff.
Okay, all right.
would it make it easier if we restricted the residents, to buy them before the summer?
You can't make them
You
do
can
that.
do that, yeah.
Are we saying okay to the
I knew that's where what you
Okay.
residents having,
the transferable one and the. is that what
I
you-
just think if
Yeah.
you keep it for 2 per household outside of the trust, then it's worked well. That letter that you sent around from, she really was happy with the way things went. Other people have come in and said, the beach is working so much better now than it has been for a long time. So
You
I
can
think
have
if
a
you
second
just
sticker.
keep it at 2 stickers per usage.
That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying.
No, she's saying, but not one transferable and one.
It's
Right.
still only one sticker.
What's the problem with giving a transferable one and a fixed one? You have to fill out either one. So it's not like
Seems like it
more of
would be
a-
better for residents.
it's not more of a time sink to fill out
It
2
would be better
stickers
for
or one
residents.
sticker or one
Yeah.
placard.
Just put
Well,
all of
stickers,
your
yeah, 'cause
places on.
And you're increasing revenue by charging more
But
for
they
placard.
have to buy a permit and then they have to buy a transferable. They can't just buy a transferable, right?
well,
Right.
what Les just said though is good.
less
Which
than.
is-
I understand, you list,
So, on the transferable
For the
ones,
resident
you
ones.
have them list all their license plates of the vehicles that they could be driving at the beach.
Sure.
Well, I know,
That's
and I know what you're saying, but that's 4 license plates we have to stop and write down.
right,
Make the
I mean,
person
it's
write
not,
it.
Make the person
it's
write it
not
down.
just a simple little
Right.
thing, when you got 40 people standing there and staring at you, and you're like,
Well, obviously, it's only gonna be, well, it could be 3 license plates, because the other one already has a sticker, so you're not gonna do a double for that. In my-
No offense, but
I
if a
just-
person's
I just don't know
registered,
why.
if a person's paying
if
to
it's-
register 4 vehicles, to write down an extra license plate number or 2 on a permit is certainly not a huge
no,
ask.
she's saying if that's all they're coming in for, just the beach permit, you have to write a list down.
you have to, yeah, I mean, you know, everything takes time, and there's 2 of us.
No, I understand that, but the people that, I mean, if you're, it also is, so basically you're saying because you don't have enough time, I should only be able to register 2 vehicles too, because it takes more time to register 4 vehicles instead of 2.
I think go to another town, that if you had 2 vehicles, you could only
I'll go to
register one, and
Massachusetts to
she'd
register
come,
one.
she'd make you go the other line and come back for the second vehicle.
I think this is a pretty good compromise.
I think the part of it that's, I think it's nice for a bonus for our residents that have this dilemma. And just in general, to have that option and paying more to get one of those as the transferable ones. It seems like it would be something people would be happy about.
Yeah,
And
It's fair.
if we have beach people that are going to be able to do that out there, and it's not putting all the burden on your office, then it
So-
might be worth trying.
we'll
So
have,
here's what I would say. It sounds to me like you might lose this argument. But we will do our best to help you with either hiring or getting the word out that people need to be proactive in getting their stickers when they do their registration.
Well, we ask them starting January.
Yep.
So it's nothing, you know.
Yep, no, I know that you're doing it, but that's the first time they're hearing it when they come to you, so
Well,
anything we do,
If we make these changes now, we would start blasting.
exactly.
Yeah,
But on Facebook,
There's things we can do to say, you know, maybe post something out front or
Yeah.
put on the website, like, you know, encourage people to, when they register their vehicles, to take care of their dog permits, to take care of their dogs, to take care of their beach stickers, all at once, so they're not inundating your office on multiple visits a year.
that sounds
And-
great, but
and-
we have to commit to providing you the people to do this. work.
Exactly, and we understand that it's
Regardless.
frustrating when people are in line. But
Well,
if
it's-
someone has business with you and they're the next person in line, you go through all that business that you have to go through with them. And if people don't like the line, they can come back another time.
Right,
And they do. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I've seen them walk out.
Yep,
You know,
and I get it, you're the face and you get the complaints and you get the grumpiness and we get all of that.
I think this is a good, you know,
But we have,
so would you just explain to me
So
again, I'm
that's all
sorry.
right. So when we write this up, we're saying that a household can either get 2 regular permits, $10 each, or have the option of getting a permit for $10 and a flexible permit for $25.
Yeah.
right.
But if they go with the 25, they have to have purchased the 10 first.
yes.
I got that.
Oh, good point. And they have to list all of their.
the license
On the
plates.
transferable one.
Right.
And you would have recommended that.
And that would be license plates registered to that address.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes, yes. Yeah, like I couldn't give it to my brother in
Right.
Florida and say, here you go.
Or even your brother that lives in Bristol.
Or-
Right.
I don't know, brother, I'm just.
Well,
Sure.
You sure?
But if you did,
Yeah. But then, same thing with the trusts.
Yeah.
You gotta list your license plates on.
yeah.
No.
No, not on the trust, because the whole idea is they can give it to whoever's coming up to use the house.
So,
Let's not start back down that road.
Right, so Scott would have one maybe on his wife's car and then the other that he could list his and his 2 kids' cars.
And to answer your question, yes, it's $50 each, but they're paying $100 to get 2 passes. They're not gonna pay $50 to get 1 pass.
right,
Right.
A trust is $100.
Trust is $100,
yes,
and they get 2 passes for that.
yes.
transferable.
And it just has the name of the trust
Yep.
and the address.
Yep.
So what do we want to put verbiage in there for replacement?
Lost, they have to pay, you said, they're gonna have to pay
You know,
$50
they have to,
for
if they
lost.
lose their registration, they have to pay $20 to get a new registration. So I think if they lose it, they just gotta pay $50 again
Yeah.
to get another one.
Yeah.
But do we want to make,
25 for that.
but
But,
they
yes,
accidentally lost it.
right,
Yeah,
which they
they
didn't
We,
do.
we can
right.
come up with an affidavit that says, you know, it was whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, and then
And-
people can have a list of all the ones that
And we already have the thing in there that says, basically, if you're committing fraud with us, you lose it.
and then you could just have like a voided permit list that the beach attendants would have, that if
The
they
only thing I
happen
would
to
ask
see one,
of you guys right now is if you would not vote on this tonight, let me digest it a little bit and come back and say, yes, I think this will work, or I think it won't work, because,
You might have some, yeah.
yeah, I may think of something that has happened, and I would just like to have a little time to think about it.
Sure.
Well, we would have to draw it up anyway, so they won't
Yeah.
vote on
Yeah,
it
we-
tonight, Rayma. We would draw it up,
Yeah, you
let
could
you
drop
think
it.
about it,
Yeah,
and then.
yeah, I'd like
and
that,
do
and
it
then
again.
read it,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you know, because I just don't want to put, and I know you're gonna try to get somebody to work, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you're going to.
Yeah.
And I just don't wanna overburden us. This past summer was horrible. I mean, by August, I was burnt out, Cheryl was burnt out. It was like, she went on a week's vacation, I went on, you just couldn't deal with
Yeah, yeah. we
a
can.
lot of it. And I
Okay.
just don't want us to get to that point where, you know, we wanna lock the door and say, we're
Yeah.
closed for the month. I don't wanna do that to my townspeople.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
so, okay, if that can get written up and I can look at it and digest it a little more, and then
Yep.
maybe come back if I have any questions or concerns.
Very
We
good.
can do that.
Can we look at the beach supervisor and beach attendant's job descriptions?
Thought we would. That's not again.
Just make a motion and it'll be done.
Yes.
I have a couple comments on those,
Okay,
questions.
which one
Which
are
one
we looking
first?
at?
Beach attendant.
Did I print them?
It's in the.
They're in a new number.
Yeah, I know, but I usually print stuff so I can.
Write notes on it.
What number is,
Number 6.
right there, beach. So on both the beach attendant and the beach supervisor,
Yes.
there's a line that seems to be cut and paste from generic HR language that I think should be more specific, and let me find it.
So the processes, steps, and methods.
Can't hear you, Leslie.
Steps, processes, and methods. That one caught my attention.
Where?
Under complexity.
Well, so those language come from Primex, is it Primex?
And that might not be what.
All that
Carol was
language
talking
came from, copied from my job descriptions that came originally from, I believe, Primex at the
The
time.
complexity of the job for the supervisor? Or the
We're on
beach
the
attendant?
attendant right now.
The work duties that involve related steps, processes, or methods?
And I don't know that that's the one Carol's looking at though. I was trying to help him out.
Thank you.
Didn't mean to confuse it.
No, you didn't.
So, beach attendant, let's start with that, and you take a look at it.
Oh, and
So
the scope and the effect, I think, is the one that,
The work development.
the physical demands after it, that's perfectly wonderful language, but the scope and effect, like, come on.
That language came
The
straight
work
from
involves the
Primex.
execution of specific rules, regulations, or procedures, and typically compromises a complete segment of an assignment or project broader scope. I mean, geez whiz.
I will tell you that just that boilerplate language is straight from Primex, which is our, so Primex or NHMA, one or the other, when we did them all the first time. We can obviously eliminate some of that, but it all came,
Yeah.
it was in language.
I hear what you're saying. It's like, what does
It's
that?
all,
I
because
know.
I've done these, and
What does that mean? It doesn't
It
mean
means
anything.
nothing, but
Yeah.
you've written it and
To
somebody
me,
signed
they
off.
execute the ordinances, those are your special rules. The regulations are your ordinances, your permits, your procedures, again, your ordinances. That's how I would explain it to them.
I can translate it, but it should be written in a language that
Okay.
the potential employee can understand. Does that make sense?
I
I
think,
mean, that's ridiculous.
I think that the first half of it works, like you said, the work involves the execution of specific rules, regulations, procedures,
Well, that's probably
or
enough.
procedures that typically comprises a complete segment of an assigned or project of broader scope.
I mean,
That means
come on.
nothing.
Well, I'm gonna say to them, you're gonna sell permits at the town
Yeah.
office. So you're gonna
We
work
can
at the
take-
beach, then you're
We
gonna
can
do the
take that whole thing
regulations.
out.
But half the time, I don't know what a broader
Because
that's
scope
fine.
means.
Yeah.
So, because
The first part of it is fine.
I mean, their duties are here.
Yeah,
I'll take
And
that.
their knowledge and skills are here. This is all boilerplate
Yeah.
language that came
But I can end it after
Thank you.
procedures.
after procedures.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was all I had on that one.
So we won't sign that one tonight.
One thing I would like to see added on major duties, would be some kind of language stating, like reports any emergencies.
It's in there, isn't
It
it?
is in there.
Fourth bullet from the bottom, informs police, fire.
Right, but so to a 15-year-old beach attendant that looks at that and somebody's drowning in the water, they say, oh, what's the number to the police department?
I give them all of that in their packet, then it's in their hands every day when they're at the beach. My number, the highway department, EMS,
Right, but I'm saying, I just want, is
Take
it
it
flow
on.
chart? So is it specified that it's 911 and then,
all emergencies are 911.
okay,
Anything else that's not an emergency, you call the highway, you
Okay.
call the fire department, you call police dispatch.
okay,
Because
so
they're
it
not gonna
doesn't need to
have
be.
this with them when
Yeah.
they're out there,
Right.
but they will have
Right.
that.
They
Okay.
get onboarding when they're hired, and
Yeah.
they get training when they're hired. The job description is just the duties, but they get more,
Okay.
more developed training.
okay.
I'm just a big fan. I've been told before with job descriptions, you just sign this because it's what you do and you're reading it like, either it isn't what I do or I don't know what this says.
Or I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know
Or
what
I don't know
I'm
what I'm
doing.
doing.
Because it's not this.
In my case, that was perfectly accurate.
Yeah.
Then I had a similar one on the supervisor.
Fred, where are you in scoping?
Yeah.
On the supervisor,
Sorry.
on the work environment for the supervisor, it seems like you do more than that. Risk or discomforts, typical of places as office, meeting rooms, and training rooms, you're out on the beach,
Sometimes.
right? So it's not enough.
And on
Am
site.
I being crazy
So,
or
no,
something?
we can add beaches,
Or something, yeah,
offices, meetings, training rooms, and
and outdoor,
And
whatever,
on site.
whatever you say for the attendant.
on-site.
Yeah, I don't know, what does it say for the attendant on that?
I'm sorry.
What does it say for the work
What is this?
environment? It says the work involves moderate risks or discomforts that require special safety precautions, disposing and removal of trash or dead animals. Employees may be required to use protective clothing or gear such as masks or gloves.
Yeah. If you think that's appropriate to add to the supervisor or something.
Oh, yeah, because otherwise it could say, oh.
Or maybe
it's
you
not my
just
job.
say,
Right.
just reference the attendant description.
Who would say
It
something?
includes all the attendance duties as
Yeah.
well.
Potentially includes all of the attendant
Yeah.
duties in addition to meetings, blah, blah.
Yeah.
blah.
Thank you, that's all I got.
Then everybody's covered.
Yeah. It's like a bill referencing an RSA,
Yeah, right.
which I had to educate the Guilford Police Department.
You can get your answer.
Anything else on them? So we'll get them, those changed as well and bring those back.
Be gone, beach. We're done with beach.
Going on.
What?
I didn't get any answers about Davidson's campground, boat slips.
I would not think.
There's a beach
boat
at
slip.
Davidson's Cape.
Yeah.
Right, but,
Yeah.
but they don't have a lake beach. Wait,
Davidson
You're talking
has
about
a
a
river
river-
beach
river?
and,
Yeah.
Bristol
Yeah.
Shores
No.
has a lake.
The
They have-
owners have 2 permits assigned to their house.
They have the river they
To
can
the
swim in.
campground?
No, to the
And they have a
owners.
swimming pool they can swim in
So,
at
In a
Davidson's.
state park.
But because they pay taxes,
I was just gonna say, they're taxpayers.
and a number of them do use the northern part of Cummings.
So
A
as
number of
the
them every year, all
landowners,
the time. They've been going there for years, but that's exactly they met us when we started going there.
But as the landowners, they're landowners, they're taxpayers that are landowners.
They don't-
They
Well,
should-
Davidson's
They're,
not.
they're
They rent the
property
site.
owners.
They're,
No, what I'm saying is, it's not about who's on their site, they're getting paid for people to be on their site.
yes.
But they're entitled as
Oh, the
property
owners.
owners to the two, but
Right.
we
The
should.
Davidsons can get them, I don't have a problem with that.
No, but they
It's-
shouldn't be able to get them for the individual sites.
No, they're not getting them. It's the people that own the trailers
Seasonal
at
sites.
Davidson's that come in and want
Because
two
they
beach stickers because
taxpayers.
some of them are. Some
Some
of
of
them
aren't.
have their trailers registered
Right.
in their home state.
And so if they're a registered trailer, they don't pay taxes.
Right,
Right.
If they, but they're asking for a beach sticker.
no,
No.
So if they pay taxes,
then they should have the option.
they should be allowed to get the beach stickers waived.
If that's what it says, it says
It says
taxpayers.
taxpayers, like I said.
Change to landowner.
Well, they don't
Oh,
own
no, you can't
land.
do that.
You can't,
No.
no, they're-
That didn't pass the Supreme Court about 30 years ago. Right? Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a few of them, but yeah, if they,
How many people are we talking about?
Well, if you go to,
But they got how many sites over there?
there's
100 and some
well,
odd.
Davidson's is probably only about 50.
but they
If
have
you
to
go
prove
Bristol
their.
Shores, there's 180 units.
That's a
you
different
approach
story,
Davidson,
that's a
you gotta
different story,
approach-
they have
No,
a
they're
beach.
campgrounds.
No,
They're
but they
both-
have,
You can't treat one campground different
Right,
than
no,
another.
that's
You
what
have
we
to have the same rules.
why not?
Of
course
you
you can.
kind of, I'm saying you only can a little bit because Davidson's is definitely seasonal.
Well,
Blueberry
So-
Shores,
Blueberry
so Blueberry Shores.
They have to
they
put
have
the
to
Definitely.
close
seasons.
down, they're not
Those are
called
seasons.
seasonal, but they have to close
They're
down
not
for 2
year
months
round.
and these,
They are
Right.
not
So
year round.
But
They
By
are
definition,
seasonal.
but they're a different category than Davidson's.
How does
So,
the total law look at
Does
that?
the beach permit say anything about campgrounds? It didn't.
No,
So what difference
Maybe
does it
we
make?
exclude beach campgrounds in the.
that's what we
Zone.
talked about at the beginning of the year, and we decided not to do that.
You did?
Yes, we said no changes, boat slips, no changes to campgrounds, when we first talked to you about it.
Well, right, but currently, we're not giving them to campgrounds.
Yes, well, we give them to the people that come in that have a
Pay
camper.
taxes. Now what?
If they have a camper at Davidson's and they come in and they want a
Yeah.
beach sticker, they get a beach sticker.
If they pay taxes.
No,
No.
they don't distinguish between that, do you?
What?
So you
If they're a
know now
taxpayer.
we're giving them to them?
No, we haven't because, again, we don't have time to look up everything every time somebody comes in and
Well, wait a
wants
minute,
something.
wait a minute, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, let me just explain this to you.
Anyone
David's-
who comes in from Davidson's
And says,
and
yes.
says, we rent it for the
They
season.
don't say rent. We say we'd like our beach sticker. We don't give them dump stickers, but we give them beach stickers.
Why?
Because they have a dumpster
A
and they
residence,
can't use our dump.
No, why do we give them a beach sticker?
because they're a resident.
They have a
There's
beach.
nothing in
so why is it
Seasonal
a
resident.
But they should be a taxpayer.
Right.
If
I mean, we
not,
could-
so they're-
Again, it's just gonna take longer.
No, it's not,
We
it's
have
gonna
to
be
s-
less work for you.
Not if we have to stop and make sure that Joe Smo was
But
paying
half of them,
taxes
you're
on
gonna
their
be able
permit.
to tell them you don't qualify for a permit.
Right.
What?
Half of them, you're gonna be able to tell them that you don't qualify for a
But
permit.
she's saying she still has to look it up.
You still have to look it up in the
But
tax to
otherwise
see
she
if
has to
they
make
pay
it a permit.
taxes.
That's gonna take as much time.
So if what you guys are saying is if I've been a seasonal camper there for 15 years, I rent every season, I don't pay taxes in Bristol, but I pay them a seasonal fee. I've been going there for 15 years, now I can't have a beach sticker anymore.
It was an oversight that we were
We're
allowed.
glad that you got to enjoy it for 15
Yeah.
years.
Don't
Well,
even do that. Don't
But-
even do that.
Well, if we're saying it's taxpayers that can get, isn't that how we're wording it? The
Yes.
Residents that are
taxpayer?
taxpayers.
Residents and taxpayers that's in the ordinance.
That's what
So,
it is,
if
residents and
someone-
taxpayers.
If
So
somebody,
they aren't.
we had this, somebody comes up and rents an Airbnb, they can get a guest pass and go to the beach.
$50.
So let the people from Davidson's do the guest pass.
There you go, problem solved.
That's
Well,
not, it seems
so,
unfair.
so you're saying,
But the guest pass is
Why
only,
should we
is a
show
week,
favoritism to them?
right?
so if one of them pays taxes
Right.
He gets it for $10,
He
but the
does.
person over here
Yes.
Yes.
doesn't pay
Because
taxes.
we're
so-
saying you have to
Yes.
be a taxpayer.
Because all I'm saying is that it just takes time to go into the tax
We
one.
we
But
understand.
it will only be,
And then
This
if there's
year.
somebody out here doing it, they're not gonna know that either.
And you're gonna.
They're gonna
you're-
send them to you, but they can take the lion's share,
Yes,
but
and that's
not,
what they've done before.
but not those because they're complicated.
We run property lists, so we can certainly amend the property list to
Yeah.
only be taxpayers.
They will
you're
take
not on
every,
the list. If you're not on the list, you'd have to go.
Then you have to go
So you're gonna tell those people that they can get one,
No,
but
No.
Bristol Shore, no.
no,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to be allowed to.
No, he's
Bristol
taking the
Shores,
next
if they're
step, I know exactly where
taxpayers,
you're
if
going.
they own it, they're
Yeah, but they
taxpayers,
don't
should
right
know.
now.
But they're taxpayers.
But I
Right.
thought
So
we were
you
telling,
would now.
so right now, do you issue breach permits to people from Bristol Shores?
Yes,
Oh, you do,
No,
okay.
you were.
I thought you didn't.
no.
Because they qualify now.
They qualify, they're taxpayers.
Yeah,
but
It's
you're
just
already doing that,
right.
so there's no change there.
There wouldn't be any change, because
And
they
you'd
are
actually
taxpayers.
have less permits at Davidson.
Yes, we still, yeah,
So in
the
the
right,
long run, it's a
Yeah.
time saver.
Okay, I apologize, I thought we were excluding Bristol Shore.
We
Well,
were,
we hadn't got
so
to that
originally
conversation
we
yet.
were excluding Bristol
Hmm?
Shores. Over the years, that's changed.
Okay.
Because they were a campground, they weren't allowed to get transfer station stickers and they weren't allowed to get beach stickers.
Well, I'm gonna ask again.
Somehow
why?
over the
Where's that
years
written?
it changed.
Where's that written, that
What?
if you're a campground, you can't get a beach sticker?
Over the years, when Bristol Shores was first here, we
It-
weren't
it's
issuing them
probably
beach
not.
stickers.
Yeah,
But
and then it changed to, I don't know, whatever, it just changed, whether it was the wording or what, but then we did Bristol Shores, which,
so if you're a campground without a water of access of your own, the RV park, well, that's pretty good.
That's pretty
And-
cool.
Pay taxes and beach
Yeah, it
stickers.
shouldn't have anything to do with water access,
So-
because you could say
One or
that
two.
about
Two.
half the people that get, like,
okay, got it.
but then we've got, and because the boat slips pay taxes, they get a
Yep.
sticker.
yeah.
Taxpayers.
How often are they gonna use that? If they have a boat at a slip, you'd think they'd be going,
They come in, all of them, every year.
They park their cars
And
and
get
get
'em.
all day and they're out on the.
The one we couldn't
Yeah.
get moved at the 4th of July was
They
out
don't
on
have
the
enough
boat.
parking.
They
Right,
don't have any place to park.
Right,
so-
so they take their vehicle and they say, oh, take our vehicle, park it at the beach,
We'll pick you guys up.
Yeah.
That's what,
I
that's
don't
what,
even know they have a boat.
well, the only reason we found out on the 4th of July is because we couldn't find this person.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they came in and they were on a boat. We almost towed their car.
They're my,
because-
I've never seen them go by with a boat.
oh, was that the car that was there
Yes, they were
forever?
on a boat.
Oh, I don't know where they came from. Did
They
come
were,
off
they
the
were
boat?
on a boat.
They disappeared like.
What color was this?
Bluish.
Bluish? Can't
Bluish.
Why was it?
Because-
That was my mother-in-law.
Because we couldn't get it off the beach
I'm dead serious.
for the 4th of
Does
July.
she-
And I was unaware. And then when I found out, I was like, you parked your car where? Yeah.
Well, it's not the person I think I thought it
It was the first spot, right?
No, this wasn't, this was in the middle.
was. It was right in the middle.
Right in the middle, right where we were,
Yeah.
right where we had the band set
No,
up.
it's
We
my, it's my neighbor.
Oh, it's with a band
It
deal to
was-
go for.
Oh, okay.
I don't feel like we are gonna resolve the boat slip thing tonight.
No.
Because I think there's more to think about with that, especially if they're being that abusive of it and using it as their launch point and pickup point. That seems to be a different situation than,
Who's
Well,
to
we've
say
made-
you can't police it? They're
We've-
using the beach and
Yeah.
then they go out for an hour and come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could beat this.
We've got it good.
you can, the beach could go on and on.
Yeah.
For now,
So-
taxpayers
Yeah.
and or property owners.
You got all that damn.
And anyone in the campground?
Campground, in the campground if they're taxpayers.
No,
Taxpayers.
I didn't say that. No, I
you
didn't
didn't
vote
say
on that. No.
We didn't vote.
Can you trick that chair?
I think you were.
I would not do that to you, I promise.
I warned you, go ahead.
Okay, we'll all discuss the beach again in a while.
But wait, I forgot something.
Hi, Rayma.
Bye.
Have a good night. Oh, wonderful.
No.
That's 88 slips, and I
That's
don't, I
me,
can't
stop.
imagine that all 88 slips are coming in to get
Well, it's not
So there's the
just
slips
88.
at West Shore,
It's 80.
well, there's the slips at West Shore Marina.
You've got moorings, you've got boat slips.
The moorings
Well,
don't
the
be
moorings
taxed.
have, so
The
you've got.
Moorings
so
are
you've
already
got-
paying
Sorry,
tax.
boat slips is not just 88, there's West Shore Marine, there's
Right.
Adams Drive.
Right,
West
that's
Shore
the
Marina doesn't
80.
have enough parking for
something.
everybody that's in a boat.
80 something at West Shore. I mean,
Is Adams,
Adams
Adams
Drive-
is the,
Adams
Fall
Drive
River,
is
Fall
about
River.
80
Yeah, the
something.
yacht club.
But West Shore
Yeah.
Marine is
I know, I
what,
built it.
70,
My husband,
Yeah, it's gonna be,
ex-husband.
is what? 75 or 80 between moorings and.
There were 88
Oh,
slips
yeah.
supposedly.
Right.
somehow, a couple
50.
people off
Yeah.
and.
Somehow the
They don't
town
have
lost
enough parking.
one.
Yeah.
All right, we need to get on track,
Yes,
please.
yes,
I'd like to, yeah.
that was painful.
All right,
Yeah, short vehicle only.
hey, you
Bill, you
two.
got 5 minutes.
MRN,
Actually, this one wasn't Bill at first. This one is, Carol Brown asked for this to be placed on the agenda.
Okay,
No, I didn't.
Yeah. No, you didn't. Okay, I asked for it to be placed on the agenda.
have a seat, Bill.
Yeah, so part of it, Bill actually did send some information, which is also included in your packet. If you look under, I can open whatever you want to, but I'm not gonna open it all yet. Number 7, these are the 10-year plan applications. And then Bill has a summary of the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, that's also under number 7.
How many numbers?
actually
do we have?
LRPC meeting.
This says TAC. I didn't have one from LRPC on this one. This is the 10-year plan.
No, this one I sent you on the 9th of 26th of September.
So I have the TAC one in here,
Yeah,
Bill,
that-
this one, see?
Well, yeah, that's.
You sent,
You, so I don't have it in the packet, sorry.
Yeah,
But-
I will run down it.
So
It's
before,
primarily informational.
before Bill runs down that, the reason that we put this on was, there's a couple of things that have come up. Carol has asked, for us to schedule an NHDOT meeting, and I've had some conversations with Lakes Region Planning Commission about it. And Bill has also been attending the TAC and GASSET meetings, so he has some information to add. We need to make some decisions on how we wanna proceed, on these, but I'll let, Bill run down his, where you have something to
yeah, and I'll add, so John Sellers and I were following up after the meeting we had here in January.
Yeah.
We were trying to follow up, and the follow-up was we were gonna have another meeting with DOT, but I think because we kinda left it as, we really like to do everything. And DOT has come back to John Sellers and to me, and I believe, and to Bill, and they've said, you can't have everything. So if you don't tell us what you want,
Yeah.
you're gonna get what you get when you get it, right? Am I about right?
It's about right.
Yeah.
So,
So, and then DOT doesn't wanna come to us to have another meeting and we have nothing different to say, which is fair.
so when I had the conversation with Lakes Region Planning Commission, I talked to Sean Chamberlain this week, he's the planning transportation person. Cause I had some concerns, someone come in after the meeting and told me that we had to come up with a percent, and I'm like, what do you mean we have to come up with a percent? So I talked to Lakes Region Planning Commission, there's confusion because this person is on the Transportation Advisory Committee, lives in Bristol, but the town that he works for has to come up with a percent because of the type of town it is. We don't, it's fully federally funded. The problem we have is that when we applied for the 10-year plan, we applied for a certain amount of money that does not cover the projects. We already know that from our meeting in January. So when I talked to Sean Chamberlain, though, he said they're staying on the 10-year plan. What they've done is back them up three years, which is going to cost probably more money by the time they do that. However, they are going to cut something with or without our opinion. And if we give them our opinion, if we were willing to have a conversation with them for things that we are willing to adjust on the scope, then he suggests we do meet with them. But he says if we are not willing to adjust, he's saying there's no sense in you meeting with them now.
And they'll do it for us.
And not now, but when the time comes, They will ask us again what we are willing to cut out of the scope, and if we don't cut anything out, then they'll pick what they cut out of the scope. That was the gist of that conversation. We put it on here to decide if we are ready to make any adjustments to meet with them or not. Or if we're not ready to do any of that yet. Bill will explain a little bit more about his conversation with Lakes Region Planning Commission and also with Transportation Advisory Committee. The other thing that also was brought to our attention was that the house that's up for sale is one of the houses that is supposed to be moved or taken. The person who met with me on the other day said that the town there's a couple of options. You could first ask the project manager or let the project manager know it's up for sale. Sean from LRPC said that there's no right-of-way money right now until 2027, but he said it doesn't hurt to ask them and let them know it's up for sale, so that would save some money in the overall cost later. They said we could purchase it, and that would save us money on the overall cost later, and I'm like, we don't have any money, we can't do that. So, and so that's where I left it with that conversation with them. But Bill has some more.
Could you take, and I mean really like 3 minutes, and how does LRPC and LTAC or whatever it is, what is the whole role, and why is there all that intermediary between ourselves and state DOT?
Okay, yeah, so LRPC is an advisory committee, but we pay money, and I'll go through that later. So they're available to give advice, and they're available to develop plans, and so the advice that Sean had was that we might procure this house, and I said, we don't have the money to do that. And he said, well, that would get you, as advice, that would get you further down the line with DOT. I said, that's fine, but we don't have the money to do that. So we can't do that. I also at the Gassett meeting, I reminded the upper echelon of the DOT that I had attended these meetings for the last 8 years. And that each time for the first one and the second one, when we put the budgets together, we had put an inflation factor into them. Nobody saw what COVID and what the cost escalations was going to happen to drive these through the roof. And I have insisted that it's their responsibility. We did what we were supposed to do, and we followed their guidance. We went through their evaluation criteria, and we came out on top with both these projects. And so we did our thing. It's now up to the DOT. If inflation gets out of hand, that's not our responsibility. We did our thing. And I also reminded them that Build Back Better and the inflation, both those programs have extra money coming to the state to cover situations like this. And they said, oh no, that money's been allocated to other projects. I said, we have a priority project that we've gone through the process, so we should be ranked along with those other projects. They didn't like that, and have said, you will, essentially we're going to push you back 3 years, and they gave us a token, $0.43 million on Summer Street, and $0.24 million on Lake Street, and we know that the inflation cost is $3 million. So the pittance that they gave us.
Can you explain what you just said? What do you mean they gave that to us?
They increased the.
They increased the budgets.
Thank you. Thank you.
By
Got it.
0.43 and by
Got it.
0.24.
Yep.
So basically by .65 million, but we know the inflation increase is $3 million for both projects.
So it's a deficit of
Too much.
$2.5 million.
over 2 million.
Right.
Yeah,
On the whole project.
So that's what we have to kind of maybe cut out of our plan.
well,
That's what they're asking us.
that's what they're asking. I'm insisting we've gone through the process. It's on your back, not our back, and especially when there's federal money available and you allocate it elsewhere.
John and I had a conversation with another DOT person about the exit 23 intersection. And he's basically saying, the money's not there for any project, you gotta decide what you want, and this is all we're gonna do. I mean, and they're also saying, we're down 30% staff, we can't do anything. We can't fix the roads, we can't, we're way behind because we're now so understaffed. So, our choice is, do we go to them and say, we told you this is what we want, and they're gonna say, too bad, we're gonna give you labor. Are we gonna win that fight?
No.
Well, that's why
That's
you
what I'm
legislators have to step up and
Yeah.
act for Bristol. I mean, we've gone through the process. We did what we were supposed to do.
Fair, yeah, but they're gonna say, so back up a little bit to what John asked you. I think that this process is statutorily authorized, that towns go to the local planning commission.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
It's a statutory
That was the gist of my
process.
question.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so that we're following the process, or we're supposed to get regional buy-in on the DOT 10-year plans. They don't have to accept it. True. I think statutorily, it's an advisory. I may be wrong.
Right. But once it goes to Gassett and it gets on their books, they've accepted the program. They've
And-
accepted the project.
For me, Bill, could you tell me what the difference between Gassett and TAC is?
The TAC is the Transport Advisory
Right.
Committee. The Gassett is the governor's the governor signs off on the plan submitted by the DOT.
Okay, so it's a government.
And the governor does it every 2 years.
So that's a committee that's tasked with that process.
The projects, the 10-year plan projects, go before the Gassett and are approved by the Gassett committee, and then the governor signs off on them.
Right, so it's going from us to the TAC, to the LRPC, to the Gassett.
Correct.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
GASSET is Governor's Advisory Commission on Intermodal Transportation.
Of course it is. Intermodal.
Intermodal, sorry.
So basically, they're asking us to pick between the Lake Street project and the Summer Street project.
Or to adjust the scope.
Of either, or just.
Which you can. Like from an engineering standpoint, if you look at
The maps.
if you look at the Summer Street project, you cut the drainage aspect of it to make the rest happen, but you can't do one thing without the other.
The sewer expansion is not going down Lake Street, right? It's starting from Middle Street, is that right? The piece of the
It
sewer
is
expansion
going-
that we left.
It's going from
It is going from Lake Street from,
to Riverdale. If all of the funding still comes through, we still haven't gotten a final answer yet.
Where on Lake Street is, I guess what I'm
It
trying to
ends
ask.
somewhere around Planky Spring, right? Or a little
Yeah.
higher than that?
no, a little higher than that, but where does it come down along?
It's going up to
Summer Street.
Riverdale.
So it won't be affecting
Summer
any of
Street
this
is,
project.
no, Summer Street is coming up, I think it's only coming up by Merrimack.
Right,
So it's the
and then going out, right?
That's the force main
The
repair.
force main.
Yes.
Yes, so.
So the force main, that'll be a little.
So it's not
better.
going up the village?
No.
It's going to
Riverdale's
Riverdale, which is past.
Say again.
Oh, Riverdale, I was thinking,
If we get the funding.
D'Angelo.
There's two.
D'Angelo.
So the one on Lake Street encompasses the
Yeah, the plan.
other plant.
So Lake Street, well, Bill can do this better than me. The two projects are, as you outlined in here, Summer Street, straighten the, they say straighten the tight curves, when you look at the map, they're not straightened at all, it's just.
Well,
it's not straightened in the least.
It's not, it's straightened some
Yeah.
if they pull the houses back.
So let's say the Summer Street project was from School Street to Rite Aid.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the other project was from the auto parts store. It didn't go to Mill Street, but we talked about that in January, right?
No,
Was
it
that an
does
addition?
go, it goes to Mill Street.
Okay, that was original, so, widening the roads and doing drainage and everything.
Drainage and sidewalks.
And cutting the corner at Huber's house,
Yeah.
filling the ravine in and putting a sidewalk
Yeah,
there.
this
and
one here.
So that,
Removing Clinker's house and removing Dean Hobart's house
On the,
Well,
on
this
Merrimack.
is-
back on Merrimack Road,
Right.
yeah.
This one's the one that's for sale now.
That's Clinker's, right, or am I wrong?
Yeah.
It's
I
Clinker's.
think it was
Clinkers,
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see,
That might
like,
still be-
the other
but
one.
what, so does that affect Huber's property?
No.
Well, it does.
I thought they were taking Huber's and Clinker's, but they said no in January.
Right here,
No,
it affects
just,
Huber's property if you go by this line,
They take just a little bit on the
corner, yeah.
corner, yeah, which is right by the house.
so
These
we
are-
could opt to do anything we want.
Why, these look like they're missing a page. Alright, well. This
And I don't
is,
disagree with Bill, we've said, we've followed the process, this is what we want, they said to go through this process. Now we're changing, not that changing the rules, it sounds like it, but
I don't think there's adjusting any scope, it's pick one or the other.
I don't know how you can adjust the scope and
one
get
of the things,
anything
Well, you can
full
adjust
on both.
they
you
threw
can adjust
out,
the scope on this one.
yeah, they,
Oh.
You
They
don't have to
threw
go
out-
from School Street, you can go from where the sidewalk ends.
True.
the
You
scope
won't
on
get
this
it,
one, they
you-
also threw out the two sidewalks on both sides of the road.
Say what?
They also said you could not do sidewalks on both sides of the road.
Right.
True.
Why would you put a
That's a-
sidewalk on the other side of that sharp curve?
Well, I don't know, that's
Well,
one of the things they mentioned as an option in our January meeting.
So, yes.
So we could cut this one, say, start after Merrimack Street and go out to Rite Aid.
They want that house on Merrimack Street regardless,
Mm-hmm.
because it's already in the way.
This one?
Yeah.
But I'm
He
saying,
said that,
ignore that, just start
yeah.
to your right after Merrimack Street with a sidewalk there.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Les and I, somebody, Christine and I talked about this. There's a lot of ramifications to, think about Gillies, parking at Gillies if you put a curb sidewalk there.
Yeah.
Sure.
What happens there? You
Yeah.
can't put parking in the street, it's a 5 foot, it's gonna be a 5 foot,
Right.
7 foot, 5 foot,
Sidewalk.
Pedestrians.
not a sidewalk,
Well, they
Bike
would,
path?
they need to move the road 5 feet on the other side. There's room to do that,
push the road 5 feet to the other side.
to the south and west, yeah.
Oh, it's a long road.
But there's a lot of things that are gonna happen that we can't, that we're not, but anyway,
I mean,
I just hate
they have to design it.
I hate to lose, I hate to have DOT come to us someday and say, here's what we're gonna do. We don't want that, well, you didn't tell us what you wanted. Or we just do what Bill says, it says, give us everything, and that's it, we did it.
And then DOT will
They'll do
just
what they're
do
gonna
what they
do.
wanna do.
We will.
Just gonna do it
In 3 years, they're probably gonna come back and say, no, we don't have enough anyways, right?
Do we need to do a little work session on this? With maps and pictures? Rides in the car, or,
I mean, we all know every bit of that road.
yeah, right.
So this plan does call for 2 sidewalks on each side of the road out to the ball field?
I didn't think that it did,
The
doesn't it?
the original
No.
plan did call for
It
2
did.
sidewalks.
I think it's only to
But not to
Danforth
the
Brook.
ball field. was it?
This is a granite curve here.
I didn't think the ball field was part of the original intent.
I don't think we need to go any further than a Rite Aid.
I think we at least get out to the apron, right?
It looks like it
Right,
goes
so I don't
back.
think people are walking to.
Was it,
Just go
Well,
What we suggested was the sidewalk on one side all the way to Wells Field, so that the kids could,
Potentially.
But the
That's what
the
I'd like to
kids-
see.
The kids don't, I mean, I don't wanna poo-poo
Yeah,
that
right
idea,
there.
but there's not that many kids that you would see walking out to that ball field. I mean, it's,
Well,
I think they stay off it also because it's a hazard.
Right.
that's exactly right.
Right, that's the thing, would they use it if it was there?
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, for them to put a sidewalk,
It would stop
I've looked at
here.
that, there's a guardrail there.
The
If
sidewalk
they're
would
gonna go
stop here.
outside the guardrail.
They've
it's-
already got it stopping at,
Before.
This is the
Yeah, the
valley. The sidewalk would
Yeah.
stop here, and then it would be a multi-use pathway on
Oh.
the inside of the.
So they're gonna fill that ravine and build
Which,
it
you
inside
know,
the guardrail.
let's not even just kids, but, you know, if you take adults that wanna go out and walk or
Yeah.
run or whatever, it's much safer
Right.
to use that
Oh, for sure.
than,
so that proposed 8-foot wide, two-way, multi-use pathway would be like the recreation path that we already have. It
Yeah,
would be inside of the guardrail.
has to be.
Yeah, because your guardrail's right
it's gonna
there.
be a lot of fill.
Yeah, that's a big piece of the project right there.
But the other thing is that if you look federally, when they get federal money, the federal directive is you will include bicycle paths and pedestrian paths on your road construction.
On
That's a
every road.
federal mandate.
So how do we hold their feet to the fire?
Well, the legislators have to do that.
It's on you, Carol.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fair.
Next item.
Well, do we need a little
Yeah.
work session on this, or does Bill have a lot more to tell us?
I have the LRPC stuff to tell you. That's TAC.
Okay, please go through the LRC.
Okay, I want to run down this because I think you need to be appreciative of what's happening.
Is that the housing?
That's the bottom, that's item number 6.
That's your next
Yeah.
item too, so,
Yeah.
okay.
So, just in the summary, the LRPC is consolidating 40 years of bylaw tweaks. And just to tell you that they are, and they will be voted on in this October's meeting, October 25, I think it is. So just to tell you that will happen. Now, the budget, their budget, the LRPC budget is now $965,000 a year, which represents a 3.1% increase, which is less than the 15.4% that they had last year. And what this is doing is increasing the staff by 1, and it's increasing the hazardous waste collection costs. What this means to Bristol is that our 24-25 will go up 12%, 12.2% to $3,642. And this increase, if you want the nuance, is based on the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics CPI index and equalized property valuation. So they have a formula.
Yeah.
And the total equalized valuation for Bristol was 924. That was their total for their properties in Bristol. They had 924,000, which I think is low, but it's a 21.8% increase over 2021. Bristol ranked 16, excuse me, out of 28 towns on increases. Effingham saw a 34% increase. Bridgewater, which that was the highest, Bridgewater saw a 2.1% increase. So we're looking at a 12% increase. I just wanted you to see the differences across the towns.
What does that number mean, that 900 some odd thousand?
That's just the way they use to calculate our $3,642 a year.
But where does the number come from?
What does that number represent?
It's
You
based-
said you thought it should be more.
Yeah, because it's the 22 total equalized valuation for Bristol.
They take I think what they do is they take the equalized valuations from each town, but they also take a percentage And-
That's
and
not
so
our equalizer.
Ours is 20% of whatever
Okay.
Okay, I
is
got
what,
you. Yeah,
is
yeah.
what I think.
That
is
makes
what I
sense.
have.
Well, it was a 21% increase, so
Yeah.
they take a high property and they take a low property and they average them out. And they say, I don't know what properties they used, but it was 924K.
It's just how they come up with what they're gonna charge.
Yeah,
Ask us
yeah.
for.
All right, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right.
Don't want to sidetrack.
Thank you.
No, I just, yeah. And so the hazardous waste coming up for next year, now we're
I
going
know.
to have a permanent employee or a part-time employee that's going to take it on instead of volunteers. The fact is, our fair share is $3,800.56, $56, $3,856. That's sixth of the 31 towns. We're ranked number 6.
When did he tell you that? Because he just told me Monday it's $5,900.
Wait a minute.
Okay. Sorry.
That's our 24. And for example, Laconia's going to be 16,000, and Hebron's going to be 933. That's the spectrum, and we are 3,800. For 25, we're going to be $5,805.
He told me for next year.
That's a 50% increase over 24.
How the heck?
He told me 40% increase proposed, and it would be up to $5,900 for next year.
That's the 5805 is what was in the
Oh,
tables
yes,
that we got.
5805, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a 40 to 50% increase for next year's budget.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
you guys just need to know this. 40 to 50%. Now, universal waste. I was one of the volunteers this year. And we have people that drive up and want to leave fluorescents. Compact fluorescents, flat fluorescents. And we have to turn them away. What they do with them, you know, we can suggest you go to Home Depot, but the fact of the matter is, we can, and if we are in fact hiring a part-time person for hazardous waste, part of his duties being hazardous waste, we can in fact collect them. We can charge for the collection of them, and we can store them and do either a 6 months or a 12-month transfer to wherever.
Where do they go and why are they not doing it?
He sent me a flyer on it. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that.
Okay, yeah,
Because they used to take them.
yeah, they did.
Yeah, they can't anymore because of the changes with the contract with the household hazardous waste. They're also expanding household hazardous waste, so it's not just a small group time frame. It's gonna be done starting probably June through September now. We got to keep August, because we said, when we talked to him, we said we didn't want to leave August if we could help it. But we'd be willing to do like the end of July. We were concerned with losing the summer
Yeah,
closeouts. And so come to find out, they were able to keep us in August,
Right.
so.
It would be nice, I think, for us to provide a place for our residents to get rid of fluorescent bulbs. Because you know where they're going.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're going in the dumpster. If, not everybody, but a number of them are going.
I've got like 8 of them under my stairs.
Same
They're just
Same here.
laying there for 10
I have a
years.
shoebox.
Yeah, yeah. I still got, some of the old 4-footers.
How many are still out there though? And like, that's another thing to consider. How many are still out there in circulation, whereas people have been buying LED bulbs for a number of years
A
now?
lot of people don't upgrade
I
though.
mean, the compact fluorescents are probably going by the wayside, but I know there's a lot of those tubes out there. All right,
Okay.
sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Now, the economic development is Federal Economic Development Agency, and there's an economic development discussion that's taking place. Economic Development District is being discussed at LRPC that they may adopt it. And if it is adopted, it gives us a 60% participation versus a 50%, so that we get if LRPC adopted and we go for a federal grant, instead of now being matching 50%, now it's going to be 60%, so they get a 10% increase. Now they get Grafton County gets a comprehensive economic development strategy, the SEDS. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but each county will get a SEDS, which when we apply for grants, we have to cite that in our grant applications. And we have to say what we want to do for a grant. So when we apply for Pemmy Path, we have to say how we line up with SEDS. And so we write that.
What is that word? Sorry.
It's a comprehensive economic development strategy, and how what you're doing ties into that county economic development strategy.
No, the word you said, FED. Did I miss?
It's a soft C instead of a hard.
It's not an S.
It's an S.
10-4. Got it. Thank you.
SEDS. So this is what this EDD will do if it's adopted. It also supposedly will give us a larger technical assistance for economic development activities. Now, hopefully that's true. It hasn't been to date, but so the economic development activities, programs, and grant applications, and supportive funding for economic development chapters within the master plans. So right now we currently pay them.
We're not paying Lakes Region Planning anymore. We've gone to a different company
Okay.
For the writing, yeah.
for the writing now. Resilience
It
Planning
wasn't working out.
has been contracted to finish it.
Okay.
Right now,
Yeah.
that could change because they do provide that service, but
Yeah. So supposedly it was going to be more. Like you say, I haven't seen it in the past, and would we see it in the future? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then supposedly they're going to provide more training programs, whatever training programs LRPC is going to do. Again, I think I personally think the LRPC is a good organization. I think, and what I see is that a lot of towns aren't taking advantage of it. They pay their money and do nothing. At least I think we go and we are represented and we press our case. And I mean, Jeff Hayes has been, to me, he's always talking to me saying, you guys can do that, you guys can do this. And he really does offer a lot of advice. So for example, EFLAP, the Eastern Federal Lands Access Program, he came to me and said, you guys should bid Pemmy Path on that. He said, I'm an evaluator and you guys will get a good score. So, I mean, so he does come forward and they...
Yeah, good.
That is good. Okay, so now what's happening with the Lakes Regional Housing Needs Assessment document? I don't know whether you saw it, but it was sent to us in April.
I think I sent it out in April, but I did send it out in your packets again this time.
I have not read the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
So
106 pages.
what they're asking for is they're asking for feedback, and I've prepared some feedback. If you guys are comfortable with it, I'll read it to you. There's a table in it that requires, right now there's a table on page 93 in the document that requires Bristol to look at providing 217 new housing units in the by 2024, of which 103 are meant to be workforce housing So that's 80% of the LMA. That's the labor market area funding. So now there's an RSA requirement, 674, requires communities to provide reasonable opportunities for housing alternatives affordable to the local welfare. And,
Can you say that one more time?
yep, RSA 674 requires communities to provide reasonable housing opportunities for housing alternatives affordable to the local workforce.
It's kind of generic.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
but there was in 2020, there was a New Hampshire Housing Appeals Board established. And so that what they have is they have the ability to sue a town if it's not following through on RSA 674. So ultimately what this says is that we need to have in our master plan, we need to be addressing affordable housing or housing increases and affordable housing. I mean, to my way of thinking, as long as they're addressed in a current master plan, there's nothing they can do to you.
Right.
But
Right, because it says you have to provide opportunities, which doesn't say we have to actually.
Provide units.
Which section of 674 is that?
59.
Yeah, the 674 is the whole.
59 is where Bill was just
Yeah.
reading from. It's 59, 60 is what you want to look at. 61 and 62 are penalties.
so what I'm recommending when we go, that if you like these paragraphs, this is what I'll take back to LRPC. The transition document, in order to transition it from the September draft dropped the table. So that and it was recommended that the table not be put into the housing document.
So back up a
This
little bit.
table behind you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that table, having read the stuff today and looked at this, assigned each town a percentage based on population, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And a letter from the LRPC gentleman,
Jeff Hayes.
if you read Jeff Hayes' letter, you'll see there's a lot of hesitancy in towns to accept this
Yeah.
because they don't want to be assigned a percentage.
Right.
And I think that's valid, personally. Continue, thank you.
And I agree. So I'm saying that table I agree that table should be excluded from the final document. The state may come back and push back on us, but right now, what LRPC would go forward with is this document without that table.
So if I understood reading it, someone is assigning each town, telling each town what is your fair share of providing housing for the
So
state.
they're saying the state needs 10,000.
24,000.
24,000. And based on population, Bristol is responsible for
217.
217.
by 2040.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you highlight that line?
Bristol.
Yes, I can. There.
Thank you.
I was just looking at this RSA too that Bill's referred to. It says that paragraph 1 shall not be construed to require municipalities to allow workforce housing that does not meet reasonable standards or conditions of approval. So, related
Right,
to
so it's
all
gotta
these
meet the
things.
zoning and the, yeah.
Right.
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 And so
This is basically saying we have to allow it.
It's saying you just have to allow it, it doesn't say you have to create it,
Right.
is
You
what
have
that
to-
RSA is saying.
Right.
However, I don't know, Bill says that there's something about the Housing Appeals Board.
the Housing Appeals Board, apparently set up in 2020, has the ability to follow through and, if necessary, sue
Sure,
them.
if we voted in new zoning that basically restricted the ability for this to take place, then that would be grounds for them
They
to
would come after you.
for them to say you're not allowing it in your town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say that we have to make sure 217 units are provided.
No.
Right.
But that what they want to see in your master plan is that you are addressing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reasonable and realistic opportunities is pretty
Yeah.
wishy-washy language, but.
Yeah.
So go ahead with the language, sir.
So I'm saying the shortcomings of this document are that it does not include the industries, local industries, their views as to what the housing shortage and the associated implications are. They're not in that document.
Interesting.
They're just assuming. But we know that Fredenberg have made the threat. But I think that should be documented, that should be in the document. That those industries think if they want to see housing, they should have some input. So I think that's a shortcoming of the document. I see that it doesn't include recommendations to the state government and the legislature as to what might be done to provide further relief for financially strapped towns to meet potential state mandated allocations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not addressed in the document. And I think
What's that section? State, there's not, 95, what, 95A? The legislature isn't supposed to pass a law that forces the town to spend money.
Unfunded mandate.
What's that? Unfunded mandate.
Yeah.
When has that ever been?
Yeah, they get around that in some way, those legislators, can't trust them.
so. I've just.
But not you, Carol. You're one of the good ones.
Let's hope so. Depends who you ask.
So those are the 3 points that I would go back to the LRPC
Yeah.
with, if you feel that that's appropriate.
I have no objection to that language. I think that's reasonable.
Do you want to read, you want to have them send it to us and read it or not?
He did, forward it to you.
I've sent it.
Okay.
It didn't get into your packets, but I'll
Okay.
forward it to you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll digest that, but unless you hear otherwise, that's a reasonable verbiage to include as criticism.
Okay.
Right, because in that table, they're saying the whole state needs this many, we're gonna divide by a percentage, and you have to provide this. You may not-
Regardless of economic activity in that
Right.
community.
Right. I mean, yeah, some of the smaller towns, they're screaming.
Right, I'm sure they are. Well,
Dorchester is responsible for X amount, and you know they.
And the state, there was $100 million given to New Hampshire by the feds for the housing. And, you know, I suggested that we could apply for some of this money, which we didn't.
Yeah.
The $50 million that was allocated for assistance to the builders in different towns has been allocated. There's none left. However, there's $30 million left that's for towns that want to address zoning or issues like zoning. What's the small houses that you would build on your property?
Tiny homes.
Right.
Tiny homes.
Who?
Tiny homes.
Not tiny homes. No, accessory dwelling
Oh,
units.
accessory
ADUs.
Yeah, which,
Yeah. I think we allow that, right?
We allow it, but they have to be attached. They can't be unattached.
Oh, don't, please, here we go again.
So if we needed money along that way to straighten out some of that legislation, there's money available.
Mhm.
I don't know that the planning board and the zoning board would have to address that.
Planning board.
I'd love to see ADU units.
So that $100 million, is pretty much gone, will be gone.
yeah,
The state is going to come back with a whopping big $10 million for 2 years. So what they're going to achieve for the $50 million, they got 200 units, which I think is pretty pathetic.
yeah.
What are they going to get for $10 million a year, or for 2 years? not too much.
With those, now for the $50 million for X amount of units, those were part of private developments?
Yes.
Okay, like a grant to a private developer?
Yeah, so the developer gets 20% from the feds
Yeah,
to go ahead and do the
X
development.
amount of units,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Right, so we're not talking about the Laconia Housing Authority building.
No, right, or
There is
something,
no
right,
such thing, but,
right.
right,
Right.
building projects for lack of a better.
It's funny you mention that, yeah. There is a Somersworth Housing Authority,
Yeah,
but they're basically giving it all off to, not giving it, but transferring the management off to private.
contracting,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Okay, so we're on track there.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give you the fact that
Yeah,
this September meeting was a pretty heavy meeting for
Yeah.
LRPC.
sounds like it.
A lot of issues coming up. Some plans for the upcoming year to be addressed in different meetings. I personally think that Bristol's involved. We're probably getting our money's worth. I see other towns that are not involved, and I just don't know how.
You gotta be at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we need to have a discussion amongst ourselves on the 10-year plan. And Carol, normally I would say a work session would be a great idea, but we're filling those up with budget.
Yeah, I get
And
you.
when do we need to get back to them?
I don't think there's a deadline. They
There's-
pushed us back.
Right,
So
right.
we're pushed back, period, unless something else comes up.
Okay.
But if we want to meet with them and if we decide we want to adjust the scope, I'm wondering if that would move us closer
Yeah,
as well, but.
yeah. Okay, so we will, action item is to have it on the next agenda as well. The next regular meeting agenda. Doesn't have to make a decision, but we need to keep talking about
Yeah, can we push it one more? The only reason I'm saying is that next regular meeting is also at the same time you have to finalize your budget.
it. Okay, all right.
And I won't be at the following one.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, we could,
Next available opportunity,
I'm gonna
please.
move some stuff into next week's budget
Yeah,
and try to, so that you're only making decisions as much as possible on the budget in
Yeah.
the last meeting, so.
all right. Thank you.
To sort of follow up on two things. Do we want to address telling people in these houses what this plan is? These houses that might be taken by eminent domain or bought by eminent domain. The rumors are out there because one of the houses that's not being taken said, I hear you're taking my house. I said, no, that's not true, but it is a rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you have that conversation in your work session
yeah.
and then make that decision how you want to go forward.
Yeah, and I think some of that responsibility, and I don't know how the process works, but I think some of that responsibility falls on DOT to say that this house is in,
That's,
if this plan goes forward, then, the plan is we need to take this house.
If there's no right-of-way money until 2027, they're not having those conversations until closer to that time.
Right.
so did the 2 million, whatever the price of those projects was, did it ever include the purchase of those houses or
I'm
not?
sure
Must have.
it must have because
Yeah.
they were quick to mention that.
And can I ask one more thing?
Yeah.
Bill? So we used to have 2 on the TAC and 2, are you okay? Do you need us to push for another person on the TAC? And did we have 2 commissioners or just one?
There is an open commissioner spot. The TAC would be an alternate position.
Okay,
But there is an open commissioner spot right now. Bill's filling one and then there's still one open and they're both voting. On the TAC, the open position is an alternate. So if Bill couldn't make it to the meeting,
okay.
then the alternate would step in.
So we should push for another commissioner because we get another vote?
We could, yeah.
Are you overwhelmed or are you good with the work?
No, I'm not overwhelmed.
Okay, didn't sound like it.
We can push for another commissioner, but we're not filling stuff right now.
Right, I'm just
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for people for EDC.
Right, right.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thanks,
Bill.
Bill.
Nice job, Bill. Excellent work.
You had a good vacation?
I did.
Yeah.
I had an adventure.
That's
I
awesome.
saw some pictures.
People said, "Did you have fun?" I
See you
said,
in here.
Yeah, I had an
"Well, I had an adventure."
Have a
We'll
good
have to
day.
hear about that.
Thank you. All right.
So it may not be, and this estimate is for Summer Street. I don't see anything that talks about properties.
Okay, well, I guess we need to ask them about that.
Yeah, because this is our submission.
Yeah,
So I don't think at the time we knew that,
it included that,
right?
yeah.
So that causes part of your increase, not
Yeah.
knowing that. but-
Yeah.
Because this is KB Partners.
Yeah.
So we said 2.1, obviously this project's 3.3 now or something like that, so.
Okay.
But, okay.
Whose idea was the candy?
What's that?
I said, whose idea was the candy?
What about-
I went out for the walk, New York peppermint patty.
I know, I've been eating Tootsie Rolls all day long.
I think we've actually pretty much eaten the bag.
Okay,
Oh, good.
let's get through this.
TA report.
TA report, yes.
Start with, employee department updates, fire department, the public safety building, the trusses, obviously you've seen, probably if you've driven by, you've seen them. They are being installed and are anticipated to be completed by next week. What? Did I spell it wrong?
Sorry.
We are working on closing out phase 1 and beginning phase 2 of the bonding process.
Great.
Highway department, I'll skip down, there's really nothing new to report on the top 3. We are doing letters on the bottom roads, and those should go out by tomorrow about encroachment issues, blocking of the class 6 road, and signs regarding the type of traffic allowed on the class 6 road. So those should go out hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
Police department, Arrow update, Arrow's tooth is in, if you haven't seen the pictures on Facebook, you should see them.
Titanium?
Yes, titanium. We've received payment from the insurance and donations. Officer Kelly has been reimbursed for the costs, because he ended up having to pay for them on his credit card, because he was at the vet.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
It's anticipated that we will have a list of thank yous for the next meeting. 1, 2, 3.
And from their Facebook post, he's right back at it.
Yes,
Yeah.
he attended one of the fairs this week,
Yeah.
this past weekend, so he did some bike work there, so.
Nice.
Didn't it bring him down on his own?
I
Just
don't know.
curious, or,
I don't know, I can ask. It may have been part of training,
okay,
they may have asked him to attend,
okay.
but.
It's a good point, though. If he's on his own, he's not under the town insurance.
If he's doing training, and presentations, I think he still is.
Yeah, if he was
But
just
we
doing
can
it
ask.
totally on his own, then you would think anyway.
We did start the traffic study for the speed limit discussion, so I
Yep.
should have more for your next meeting. Underwater sewer, I'm gonna skip those, no new updates. Assessing and land use, the training session, the enforcement training session has been rescheduled for October 24th at 1 PM. I did send invitations to anyone who can attend that. Nothing new to report on South Main Street, now we'll skip to executive. Under the employee appreciation length of service, I did want to bring it up so the public could hear it as well. We posted it already, but in error, one of our employees' hire date was entered incorrectly in the system, and the recognition was missed for June. We've done a special posting online and also on Facebook, and we just wanted to recognize Cindy Westfall has been at the library for 21 years this year.
That's impressive.
So, For October, we have Aaron Heath from the fire department, who's been here 15 years. Wendy Smith from the executive office, 5 years. Jonathan Southland, highway department, 7 years. And Tim Woodward from the police department, 18 years.
Hey.
Summer barbecue, I just wanted to throw some thank yous. Thank you to the members at the end of the summer barbecue subcommittee, Ingrid, Wendy, Deb, and Kirsten for helping plan the event. Thank you to Joanne and Chris for helping get donations for the raffle. Thank you to the highway department for picking up the games and the grill, and to the fire department for the use of their boards. And thank you for the trainers, Primex and the fire department. They did a really good job. The fire department actually, I think their training session was very popular. So, for those, they took fake legs and you had to plug up the bleed. So, and to put tourniquets on. So, whoops, I lost my spot. I wanted to say thank you also to those who donated gift certificates or merchandise. Sue Bean from Dunkin' Donuts, Mark McDonough from Homestead, Tim and Claudette Smith from the Crazy Cat Winery, and Joe and Bailey Christie from Bristol Florist Renaissance Florals. Town car, I am recommending we pull this off the warrant, and then so I've talked to Chief Bean about the car that's coming out of rotation, and it needs a little work, but they're gonna need to repair it to keep running it until they get a new car. We'll have to up our mileage reimbursement a little in the budget, but I think it's the wrong time to try and get this at this point too.
Yep.
Community power. There's an article in that was submitted to the Buzz. I did edit that. In the article, it had said that we were putting something on the warrant, so I changed it to may put something on the warrant.
Yeah.
He's asking to come back for the board to have a vote. Because we would have to starting to have public hearings, sign the agreement, have public hearings, etc. So I wanted to know if you would like to hold a work session first, or put it back on the public agenda for the next meeting.
My opinion, it sounds too good to be true. It sounds like a timeshare thing to me. I know it's not, but I gotta go back and look maybe at the history of the RSA.
I can go back.
It sounds, and you and I picked up on the financial loop, where they said in oil it's going to the Wall Street, and with windmills it's going where? Nobody's making money off it, so. Is it too good to be true? Is it just about saving money for our citizens, or is it about something else?
I do know a city that signed up recently and got a really good rate, and I have an in, so I can talk to them. They said they're away right now at a conference, a manager's conference, but I can talk to them and see what their experience. They signed up probably about 4 or 5 months ago.
Unless the four of you made a decision already.
No, I have not made any decision.
So-
Which way I'm leaning, but
It would be interesting to hear what other towns that have been doing it, what their experience.
I can reach out to the ones that were on that list that was provided, that were signed up, and then the one I know that wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you could ask them, the part about you're gonna sign up for it, you're gonna be part of the committee and you're voting, but then if you don't wanna do it, you can opt out in some fashion. It just
Well,
Yeah,
you weren't
it's
really
just-
voting on the committee, you didn't get a vote.
every time I think about it, I see the picture of the windmill.
so we need, no,
So I'll reach out to some of the towns on the list and see what their experience has been, and then bring that back to your next meeting. I do know we'll probably have to have a vote
Yeah.
pretty soon, so either, if not the next meeting, in the first November meeting.
we gotta sign it, we gotta sign it, so.
On that car,
Yep,
we have a bit of a history of hand-me-down cars turning into
Money pits.
pits. And those are not cheap vehicles to maintain. So that's a concern. for me.
I can tell you the reason I thought about this is because we have a lot of challenges in the budget, and I didn't think it was the right time to try to get a $30,000 or $40,000 town car. Because your used cars aren't going for that right
They're
now.
ridiculous.
So even, the quote, I was looking for something similar to Jeff got for the water sewer, which was the
Ford Ranger.
the Ford Ranger. It was that was a couple of years ago, that was 36. So it would still be somewhere around 30 or 40 probably now, if
Does it
not
need
more.
to be four-wheel drive?
Oh, the only thing is some of the roads, for an enforcement, if you're going for enforcement, are there roads that you might have to go to that you would need to be able to?
I'm looking at it from.
It doesn't need to be four-wheel drive, no, but it should be, sorry.
I'm just thinking,
That's
you
okay.
can, I mean, you can get base model Toyota Tacoma for about 26, 28.
Yeah.
So that might be an option.
How much is like a Jeep?
Either like a Equinox or a Ford Escape or something like that, isn't that?
Do they make this, still make
Ford
this?
Escape, but
The
you're right,
Escapes
what's
are
that
closer
low-end
to
Jeep, the
30.
little one?
A low-end Jeep Wrangler, like, not a, well, what's
Not
that?
a
like?
Wrangler.
There's a couple.
Not a Wrangler,
Yeah.
no, a
The
base-
Cherokee or something like that you're talking
No,
about?
no.
It used to be the Liberty, but it's not anymore.
Like they
Compass.
Oh, a Compass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
It
but
might be all right.
not only do I, the money pit aspect of it concerns me. I don't want non-law enforcement personnel running around a vehicle that people can perceive as law enforcement. Yeah, that's a bit of a concern in
A
this day
lot
and
of
age.
towns do though. A lot of
Yeah.
towns have.
No, I know, and
Saw one
historically we
yesterday.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we wouldn't obviously have the police department signage on it, we have town of Bristol emblem that would.
Right, but it's black and white,
I
and the
mean,
black
you
and
could-
white
you could get
screams.
the white painted black, right? Or is it not that easy?
It's not that easy, and it's a lot of money.
I know.
Well, it's something that we don't have to make that decision today, but it was just, I'm concerned about the budget.
And we appreciate that.
Yes,
So,
we do.
We do. Yeah. There's always that question about,
mhm.
Could you?
yeah, we could save a few bucks in the budget, but it costs us more down the line and it's
Mhm.
That's where
frustrating.
I'm looking.
Well, unless, I mean, we probably wouldn't get that car until at least 6 months in,
Yeah.
maybe longer next year.
And do we get a trade-in on it? If the police,
Did
what do we do with it
trade-in?
when, if we don't take it, what do we normally
Goes
do?
for bid.
It depends,
I
yeah,
think
most of the time they're pretty used up.
Probably goes to the white farm.
No, this last one, I think
Oh,
they
yeah.
did do trade-in because they weren't going to be able to sell it outright.
Yeah,
So we get something out of it.
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
I'm on the Jeep website right now. A base Wrangler starts at 32,000.
Yeah.
A Renegade is 28,000. A Compass is 28,000.
Okay.
So we could pursue other options, but we can talk about that when we get a little closer to warrant articles, because that would be a warrant
I
article.
have a 2011 Subaru Forester.
That you'll sell
Oh,
us.
God.
Really?
Supposedly they go anywhere.
They do.
Well, so the old
You know what,
town,
that car in the snow is a
That's
beast.
what they say.
Yeah.
the old town car, I will let you know, is probably, if it hasn't made it there yet, it will be at Steen's.
I was gonna say, it should
And
be the
crushed,
crusher,
yeah,
yeah.
by the end of next week, hopefully.
The white farm didn't even want that.
We could, so where it was parked, there were some things underneath that fell off. So we ran that one until we could run it anymore, so.
Okay.
Alright, MRI financial support have started, she came last week, she's coming 2 days this week. She's coming up with some resolutions already, she's doing a really good job, and we're meeting with the treasurer on Friday.
Great.
Nothing new to report on Eversource. They did reach back out to me and told me that they didn't have any new information yet. They didn't want me to think they forgot about me, so. Window coverings, I'm throwing it out there for the last time. We did get a quote, that's in your package here. The ones that had to be replaced and the addition of the police department, and I added my office in, is the 1,380. For 1,000 more, we would do the rest of the windows upstairs,
So-
except not this side of the building, it would just be that side of the building. And I'm throwing it up there for your opinion or not. Chris didn't get back to me, I was asking
You
him.
guys decided to do this before I came on, based on,
I don't remember talking about it, I think it.
I was off the board.
So
It was
the,
when this building was, when you were moving into this.
the police chief at the time, the former police chief, said that they recommended that they do it. He felt for security purposes. I don't think he meant the windows in the back they got done. He meant all the windows in the front should have been done at least on the first floor. And he felt for security purpose that, and they ended up doing the little windows along the back, the little windows to the entryways, upstairs, the little window was done, so when we talked about some were removed that, shouldn't have been removed, we had said that we would put them back.
Yeah.
And then Chris Bean, we were talking about, we thought he would add the two for the offices he's in and the one, the office they use downstairs. So those are included in the first quote, and I put myself in because I figured it would be better if I had mine done and
Right.
I wouldn't be able to say, well, see, I can see outside, you can't, but we thought it would be better if I just had them done, so that's where I threw myself in.
it's just a darker view of looking out, that's all.
Yeah. There are some people who don't like it, obviously. They feel that it makes things depressing because you look outside and it looks like it's bright, it looks like it's pouring all day long, or it looks like it's 6 o'clock at night and it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was some of the concerns that came up, but no one, I issued a comment that anybody could reach out to me. No one would have anything held against them to let me know what their feelings were about it, and I didn't get any responses, so.
It seems like a waste of money.
Everybody that works here is eligible for a 15-minute break every 2 hours, which they can go outside.
And have
And lunch breaks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I did ask this police chief, and he still recommends that they be put back down at the first floor, and while we were doing it, he would put them up on the windows they use, so. But part of why we did decide to put them back was
Yeah,
they were
because they were pulled down without.
Right.
without.
Yes. That, totally get that.
So I can just do the first step one, which is just replace the ones that were removed, the police chief's requests, and then, I'll do mine, so, in the first round, and we won't do the rest.
What are the rest?
So the rest of the windows upstairs, not these and this side, obviously, because this is storage area, but the rest of the windows on the front side,
So the finance office
and the two
and
front
the spare
offices.
office, where
We didn't,
Wendy is now.
I don't think we included that one.
And
So-
two in Bob's office. Your two windows were the first one. That's it.
And then the police department, yeah, so that,
So is this strictly a security concern?
Yes.
security / safety,
So someone can't shoot a gun, can't see you to shoot through the window, is that what we're talking about?
that's part of it. I think that was the reason behind some of it. Some of it was that you can't see in, unless you're right up. You say you can't be in the parking lot and see somebody in by themselves alone.
Okay,
But
yeah.
We have blinds? I don't know, I just think it's the way I feel, I think it's a waste of money, but that's just me.
so
It's
we
not, it's
can,
not like it's bulletproof glass.
I thought I heard that there had been threats, and that was what prompted this.
it did start it, but that had been threats against the select board, I believe, at the time because of, I think it was because of the water and sewer project at the time.
I never knew we had
It was pretty aggressive. I wasn't here.
You would have liked to
involved
have
in
known that.
And so there are things that we're supposed to do differently. We are following all of those rules right now. We did follow where we've switched it so that if someone's sitting here, they're not with their back to the door.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing we haven't solved, but I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Yeah.
can say it.
So, yeah,
I won't tell you one thing.
That was really helpful, thanks.
you will tell me later.
It's a security thing, so I can't.
I feel you take $1,380 and let it on fire, it's gonna be just as effective as putting up window covers.
The police chief is recommending that they go back up on this level.
At least on the first level and in his offices
Yeah.
upstairs on the front of the building.
I mean, I think sometimes we have to defer to their expertise of what they think is good. I might not have agreed the first decision, but now to put it back in place.
For the record, I don't support it.
I'm on the fence. But remembering the Newbury Town Hall
Yeah.
from, right, there's always, you never know. Although they walked in the door that day, it wasn't like through the window.
Sure, if somebody pulls in the parking lot, they're just gonna start shooting at windows anyway, they're not looking for specific targets.
Unless they are.
Unless they are.
And then that's not gonna do anything either.
No.
Do you, I mean, we have to get back to them, but we can wait a week. And we can think about it a little bit more if you want to.
How much is it? 13?
$1,380 just to do the ones that were removed, so there were this side, there were windows that were removed, and there were windows that were removed in the back corner. And then to add the windows where the police department is, that they have three, one downstairs and two upstairs, and then my office, so.
So we're not gonna budget this, but the people that took them off are gonna pay for it.
I was thinking that. I don't want to say it.
Kidding, of course.
Does it make sense to do the upstairs when they're not gonna be in this building for long?
Till June.
They're here till
Till
at least
June.
June, end of June.
Right, that's where, spend a lot of money.
But then
on
it's,
this.
so one of those spaces is the select board meeting room after that.
The
So,
one upstairs
yeah,
that we've never met in?
yeah. That you could fit, that was the intent of the room, that you could go up there and meet as a work session maybe, or you could go up and sign papers.
Yeah.
Read the catch.
Where's the money?
Scott?
How do I feel? I'd feel bad, terrible if we didn't do it and then there was an incident.
Well, yeah.
So, but no, you're not gonna stop everything, but is it a level of safety? And trusting
Police chief is
Chief
asking
Dean,
for it.
yeah, trusting his, right? So his recommendation, I would say,
It's not
Sure.
hard to still
And he's
determine
agreeing
the
with
person.
former chief.
no,
And
it's not. Locks don't only keep the
He
innocent
would
people
clearly
out.
say if he felt differently than
Yeah.
the former chief, so.
Right, and I asked them specifically because I was concerned, all right, do you agree with the decision that was made before we put it back? And if we don't put them back, then the other question would be, are you ready for them all to be removed?
Right.
Because that's also going to happen in certain offices, so. And it was expensive, what was already done, so. Could we remove those for you? But
I don't care about these.
I know, those that we always keep the lands closed half the time anyway, but. And I'm fine
So
either
it sounds,
way.
it sounds like we have probably 3 people leaning towards at least replacing what was taken out and doing the
The-
police rooms.
Yeah,
Because they have their own concern about
yeah,
it, which would be less money,
well, it would be that first number,
at 13.
Right, so we're gonna approve it, by the time it's done, they're gonna be in there for like
Oh.
3 months and then leave.
Yeah, what's the turnaround time on having it completed?
They told us
December, I think.
November, December.
So it could be 6 months.
All right,
I'm kind of on the fence, I don't know. I agree with Les.
It's nice to have 5 board members.
We can wait till next week, you can, and then make,
Maybe we're tired and we can't make a decision.
yeah, let's wait till next week.
I wanna talk with Chris too.
I was
Okay.
thinking, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
And as an ancillary to that, how often are we leaving the female employees here alone? And we should talk about this off camera. Is
Yeah,
that a
'cause I'm
bad
not
thing?
telling
Some
you.
companies don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
They make sure they're accompanied out to the parking lot and shouldn't have to
We-
do that here.
we'll have to talk about that after.
Okay.
Open position, still the cemetery trustee, if anybody is interested, they, obviously, we probably won't fill this before, elections, but if we did fill this, they would serve till 2025. So I'm hoping there's somebody out there who'd be interested. We did not fill the transfer station attendant position yet, however, Mark, the person has not returned the call. So we decided to wait until Chuck gets here.
Okay.
Events, there's scarecrow decorating contest is begun. Scarecrows have started to arrive in the square. Rules are posted on the website and the final entry deadline is October 23rd. NLRA watershed workshop they held one last year and invited planning board, select board members, conservation commissions to attend. It was well attended, so they're having another one this year. It's Monday, November 13th at 6 p.m. at the Alexandria Old Town Hall. Grafton Regional Development Corporation has sent you a save the date notice for their annual meeting. It is November 26th from 9 a.m. to 10:30. Health Trust is holding their annual member meeting. You get to vote on their board of directors if you're interested. And that's December 7th at 3 p.m. at the Grove Pony Conference Center in Concord. Nothing new to report yet on the Grafton County fiscal. And the last thing on this report is the all committees. You all received an invitation to do the survey. Once the survey deadline is October 13th, it is completely confidential. All of the committees received separate. So Kelly Park all got one survey for Kelly Park so that we could tally them, but we don't know who's doing them. Bruce and I will meet, and it looks like we'll be doing the all committees meeting hopefully by the end of the month. If not the beginning of November, but you only have till the October 13th to answer your survey.
All right, great.
And then the only other event, whoops, wrong remote. They are holding a Lakes Region Household Hazardous Waste Collection Saturday, October 7th at Tamworth's KA Brett School. It's 881 Tamworth Road. It does allow for other area towns to attend it, so if you have some household hazardous waste to drop off, you can certainly go out there, and it's 8:30 to 12 p.m. 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Are they taking fluorescents?
No.
Yeah.
It's good to put out again.
But I did find that advertisement, I'm gonna talk to Mark about it. There's a notice of contract for recycle lamps, ballast, dry cell batteries, and mercury devices. Because it looks like you could, if minimum order is $50 for a pickup, and you could do it as many times as you need to. And there is a cost of, it's priced per foot, 6 cents for straight fluorescent, 20 cents for U-tubes, circuit lines, and compact fluorescent, so it gives a whole list, so I'll talk to Mark.
Who is this?
This is through, so this is recommended by LRPC since they aren't taking them anymore. But it says, State of New Hampshire Department of Administrative Services, Division of Procurement and Support Services, Bureau of Purchase and Property, State House Annex.
Well, I know them all.
Yeah,
What?
Oh, so they're asking for,
I think what they're telling you is that, my
no, they've got a
recollection,
contract.
any state contract, municipalities can participate in any state
It's a
contract.
vendor, sorry, I read it wrong. NLR Incorporated,
Yeah.
out of East Windsor, Connecticut.
We can take
We can
advantage of any state
participate.
contract.
Yep. So I'll talk to Mark about it, but we don't have an alternative right now,
Right.
so.
Right. Okay. Selectmen items, Scott.
Did anybody notice there's a parcel of land for sale across from Dunks? It's
No, I
back
didn't
on the
see that.
market.
Did you
Sorry.
go on the market?
It's back on the market,
Wow.
so.
You mean more across from Rite Aid?
Yeah, the old,
San
yeah.
Maria's old property?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Isn't it the same owner as Dunkin' Donuts?
so that's the last I knew,
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe they decided that,
I heard they did.
yeah,
What were they gonna do with it?
I don't know, they think they just bought it to block out any possible,
I heard there will be a restriction.
yeah.
Whomever they sell
So-
it to.
Has it ever been discussed to have like a dog park in town? Is that something we ever want to pursue, or are there grants out there for that?
It has been discussed, but the question was where.
Yeah, where, and I know the conversation you're referring to. It was interesting. Some people piped into that conversation and posted all these links to research that showed it can be a negative environment based on bacteria and
If somebody's not cleaning
disease and
it,
other,
yeah.
and other stuff. But it certainly got a lot of attention, that Facebook post.
A lot of people
A lot of
are
people
asking about it.
Yeah.
I know.
Go with the beach right there.
They wanted us to put it kind of.
That was our teacher look.
We got some thinking going on there.
Yeah.
Just be careful when she starts talking to you with her teacher voice.
And then there's a new street sign at the bottom of Overlook Drive.
I noticed that.
Different location, so takes some getting used to. It's off the utility pole now. It's on its own standalone
What's it
pole.
say?
Yeah, it's just a
Oh.
drive, but it used to be,
Drive.
it looks like a whole new sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we were supposed to have them on the utility
Yeah.
pole, so.
And it got bent. It was, the other one
Oh,
was,
yeah, I did see that.
said Look Drive. Other than that, I don't think there's.
an overdrive.
Any planning
Um,
since last meeting?
the local Mexican restaurant's doing well, it seemed like. I was in there a few weeks ago, so that's good. They're
Good.
back up.
Oh, they're back up, good.
They're restaffed, it seemed like, and,
That's great.
They had a lot more staff last time I was in there.
yeah, so,
Interesting story.
Yeah.
yeah. Other than that, I think everything mentioned.
All right. Rob?
The other thing, I got a brief conversation with Chief LaRoche this morning about the public safety building. There's a lot of progress happening now, but we're meeting, the committee's meeting next week. We do have one potential issue where some of the pipes were running to incorrect locations, and kind of how is Screwen going to address that? And one of the issues was discussed, we'll just retrench the floor and redo it. That's fine if the radiant piping is running in a parallel direction, but not if it's perpendicular, so. So maybe a minor pickup there, but there's, kind of discuss some workarounds on that. And we talked a little bit about the parking and the situation we discussed before, which I'll know more about that stuff next week. And,
Okay.
Has there been any discussion on the surrounding trees?
not that I know
I don't know what.
There's some surrounding dead trees.
There's a couple
nearby.
large ash trees that are on, they weren't cut because they're on the boundary or over the boundary on the neighbor's property, and they're going to be dead in
of.
a year or so.
It's a concern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But when when they're you could, I think you could get a crane in there when they're finished
There now.
But yeah, there's a crane in there right now, so.
Who's gonna pay for it? Is
Right.
the Next.
And you need permission from the
Right.
neighbor
Sure.
to cut a boundary tree, yeah.
There's also a neighbor who's approached about their parking area. Ben and I are gonna meet with them or talk to them about it. And we'll come back to the board and let you know.
What, they want us to pave it or something?
No,
Was it Davis?
it's partly on our property and it's for the apartment building,
Yeah, okay,
so.
Oh, on the north side?
yeah. Okay.
I think that's all, right, I think something, but,
Sure, right? Oh yeah, I forgot. Carol.
Something occurred to me at the Conservation Commission meeting the other night. So, when you and or Donna or whoever stays at a night meeting, what time have they gotten here in the morning? Usually at 8, their normal day.
Well,
Are they-
Dawn is adjusting her schedule.
Okay.
I don't have that luxury right now.
Well,
I do adjust it some, I don't come till 9, but today I had to be here at 8 because the finance company was here at 8, and I'm like, I called Joanne from the car, can you let him in? Because I'm late.
The reason I'm asking, I'm just gonna throw it out there, is that I know at the state, and I think certainly a lot of companies, if you got it at 8 and you've gone through your lunch break and you're working till late at night, that they're gonna provide you dinner or compensation for dinner. Because just, let's talk about it sometime, but I'm just throwing it out there. That's a long
I think
day.
he wants compensation for dinner on select board
No.
next year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had my dinner.
Oh, I threw away the evidence.
The Lake Water Quality Group, we are inching our way along. We're almost at the point where we believe we've finished reviewing everything that we need to look at. We came up with a couple more things to look at before the next meeting, and we're gonna try to draft a report to get it to the select board before the end of the year. So, and then I had a request from a person that want the spring sample for PFAS, or PFO, or whichever he prefers. It was a long conversation. We had a long conversation at the Conservation Commission that we could sample for anything someone asks for. We made the decision, the Conservation Commission, not to do that because we had no evidence that there was a need to do it, which is usually what you base sampling on.
Right.
So, and this person said, well, there's a violation in the monitoring wells at Freudenberg for PFAS, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of other things there too, but, and it's only a mile from the spring, and I said, it's not possible for it to travel in the groundwater backwards from Freudenberg to the spring. And he said, well, I want to know anyway. So we tossed that out of Conservation Commission, and we kind of, I think it was a little
We were
bit,
able to look at the map too to see the sampling sites, and there really was nothing around the spring.
right, Village Pizza has, as their public water supply, they had a 0. So that's at least closer, although groundwater wise, it's still not gonna get to the spring.
Right.
It's not gonna go under the river and uphill.
Right.
So I'm just letting you know that the question was out there, and we kind of batted it around for 45 minutes and said, maybe not. And we could pick any contaminated Freudenberg that we see in the world and say we want to sample for that everywhere in Bristol. You know, that's kind of what I thought.
are there records, like historic records of water sampling from that well, like going way back, or is it like a?
From the spring?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this because we also had the conversation about previous closures of the spring and why that was, and some of the rumors that have been spread around town. I think I talked to you about this.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go back, and we made a decision, we're gonna put on the town website and the Buzz sort of a history of the sampling and the closures and why they happened and what that means. I think the best place, we have some records, but I was thinking today, the best place would be to go back to DES and look at, and ask the lab for all the data that they've had. And that will give us the dates that we had issues. So we are gonna,
So we only have posted back to 2020 this online,
Sure.
but I think we probably,
I mean, we took samples intermittently and randomly for years.
Yeah.
But even, I mean, they did it before I was on, Mesa did it, so.
From that spring for 47 years. So this one.
and the reason we closed the spring,
What's that?
I was gonna say that we were talking, I was the one who closed the spring. I actually went out and put the barricades up and the yellow tape when I closed it that year, and it was because the kids had gotten into the cover.
Yeah.
But we
Right,
fixed
that was
that issue.
vandalism, which is a completely different story, right?
So,
Anyway, I'm just letting you know that's what we're doing, that's all. That's all I got.
Can I piggyback on the spring thing? Who's responsible for like the road skirting at the entrance? Cause that's getting bad.
State.
That's all
But
state.
we
So-
also asked the highway department to do work on it before.
This summer, Mark dropped a load of gravel and they did,
They did
they
do it.
did,
They did?
yeah, they did.
Yeah, they
No,
did.
it
It
made
filled
it
in
better
the
for quite a
hole.
while.
Was much bigger.
The hole's pretty deep now, you drop off and it's like,
Yeah.
it's encroaching on 6 inches. It's
I
gotta
mean, I can make a call again, or you can make a call or Mark to DOT, but there's two places on West Shore Road that they've stuck a hoe in it, and we just can't get to it. And so,
So we approved him, I think this board approved Mark to go out and fill in, one of the holes was like swallow your car at the time. So he did go out and do that in the
The
spring.
area is smoother, but the drop off from the pavement
Yeah.
is significant. And for small passenger vehicles, it's pretty.
So we have Mark filling that in.
well, they could can we throw another load of gravel in there? Are we willing to fund that as opposed
we
to
could
facing
charge-
some kind of complaint?
We could charge Conservation Commission for it. You have so many, you have your maintenance of your properties.
You could.
Line.
It's a
that
great
you
idea.
haven't spent.
Yeah.
That
So we
needs
could-
a couple loads of reclaimed asphalt, and just let it compact down.
That's a great idea, Christina,
True.
because we're not gonna spend that maintenance money on anything else, I don't think, before the end of the year.
Yeah.
You should check with the chair though, not me.
I've got pretty good authority to spend on Jane.
All right.
So I'll talk to Richard, but I think he would say yes, so.
All right. Les?
The only thing I have is I spoke to somebody who it sounds like maybe taking over the management of the farmer's market.
Oh.
And they indicated that there were false rumors going out there about what the town was going to do and that they would be at the park and that they'd had kind of a turnover in management of it, and so he's hoping that,
Oh, a different person.
so this, Paul Sedano's kind of spearheading just right now until they figure out what they're doing, but
Because, all right, next year he should get in touch with me before, because I do the permitting with Lions Club
right.
for them and give them stipulations for what they can and can't have at the farmer's market. And I've done that with the past person, so. And we gave the past person a list of things we would do and we wouldn't do, so. That's why when Scott said he was told that we were doing all this, I'm like, no, we said no.
Right, yeah, he
Yeah,
said
so.
that was just, that it wasn't necessarily,
yeah,
it was kind
wishful
of
thinking. All right.
The 10-year plan shows a number of trees planted right across through there, if you happen to look at that.
Right.
Speaking of trees, any update on the downtown?
I asked Mark, the company asked them to flag it, he flagged it, and they haven't been back yet, so.
I noticed the flagging, yeah.
We're waiting for them to come up still to do the assessment, but we're only doing it on that one.
Yeah,
'cause-
right, the other
yeah.
one's dead
Yeah.
on its own, yeah.
So I will read to ask him, he hasn't taken that one down yet, so I'll
Where
ask him.
are those two shows? One in front of Beano's?
Well, that's a whole other question. No, there was one in front of community services. There was an elm that died.
So that one's coming down.
Yeah. There was a dead one at the Mill Falls. They did already take it down. It was a small one on the edge of the road. But the one next to, in front of Bene, got hit
Yeah.
and pushed over. And then they pulled it back,
Oh.
which broke more roots. I mean, they didn't know.
They've got it tied off, but,
Yeah,
so we're gonna have the assessment done.
yeah.
And then the ash trees are different, they are being scheduled to come down. They haven't made it out here yet, but they will be done this year.
And are we working with Beano on that, or are we doing?
Mark was supposed to get them to pay for one, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the line runs right through the middle. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've had people start to ask more questions about those. Trying to think what else I had, if anything. Guess not. All right, any other items? You said you're working on the speed thing on New
So-
Chester Mountain?
Chris texted and started it. I have to look up the RSA because the only thing he asked. This one.
Oh. Has there been any,
Oh, it's not, it was an email.
has
Sorry.
there been any permitting requests in that area that you're aware of?
I have to talk to Joanne.
Okay.
I
I'll
don't.
touch base with her.
I can touch base with her tomorrow, but permitting in that area, okay.
Yeah. I'll let you know in a second.
Okay, yeah, let me see Chris's message. He said he started the traffic study. Does the board have a duration they want him to run? But I think I'm gonna check the statute and see
Yeah.
what they say.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
I think that's it.
all right.
You wait
So soon, yeah.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Les.
Second.
Second by Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.